Got the opening ceremony. Love the hype.
Energy are doing it. Nobody else has got it done so far this summer in the LCS, but a quadra in the end. And
Love the hype.
they're doing it.
There we go. I thought it was this guy from True Giants. I wonder if he wrote the song from that riff and then went off, or if he already had the song and they took that little bit and added it to the True Giants line. This could be the last day that Fudge has hair. Blabber 1 win away from being the winningest player in the league's history at 300 games. Berserker looks like such a boss.
New Jersey, make some noise for Fumbles! Prudential Center, are you ready?
I almost went to this. Kind of regret not doing it. Would have gone if my son were here. Oh, I got a little bit of hype. Let's go into the draft.
Very popular in this meta.
Exactly.
All right, Zaya, Azir, Poppy. They take Maokai away from Blabber because he's never lost on it.
So Maokai ban off the table, and guess what? Fudge and Renekton. Name a more iconic duo. I will wait.
Well, I could name Blabber and Maokai.
Renekton's so strong. This is just like this champion does everything.
On the pick by Energy in their previous matchup, but they managed to turn it around. Energy is going to ban that pick away from him.
I'm gonna grab a drink for this.
Maokai banned out by Energy. Zaya, Azir, Poppy.
Oh, that's a nice little touch on stage. Daughter of the Void.
C9 to the surprise of no one.
Absolutely, and I think that the Renekton hover was basically saying, I know what you're going to play. You know, he's expecting it to potentially go over to Dokla. He's been playing a lot of it. No Yumi fans here today? Surprise!
Everyone's playing for the
Vayne would be sick.
seat rest for himself, but the Kai'Sa this time around, instead of getting answered by the Ezreal, which FBI has been doing a lot, he's opted for that Zeri answer to it, which has become prominent.
There we go. You get the flex and response. I like it. Rel's one of the strongest pairings with Kai'Sa. Can also be flexed around. So Zeri as well, but almost definitely going to be in the bot lane.
I'm always more inclined to feel like Rel has a higher probability of going in the jungle than she otherwise would, just because of Zeri's natural tendency to want to have a bodyguard, want to have a pocket pick in one of those enchanter types that unfortunately for her have fallen out of the meta. But we're going to see how Energy navigate that later on in the draft.
Which is weird that they fall out of meta because the items got buffed, right? So they're playing on 13-14. This is after the enchantment item buffs. This is really good so far. Rel is an Abyssal Mask abuser, and Rumble is the best synergy in the game, the highest damage, magic damage over time that you can get.
So I think if you're over on C9's side, you're maybe targeting some of the physical damage junglers, physical damage mid laners that could be popular here.
And the problem is, both of the main physical damage mid laners have been taken care of. Tristana banned and Jace taken away here by Cloud9, so could get a little bit difficult there.
All right, Cassante banned out by
And they can always play Kai'Sa mid.
Out by C9. They don't want to deal with that ability to shut the lights off, make it so you can't see when somebody's coming in for the flank, see if Rumble's approaching for a long-range equalizer or something like that.
And again, you know, you already have a lot of magic damage here with the Rumble.
What I'd love to see here is actually Rel in the bot lane and a Mumu picked. It'll never happen, but people don't realize how much damage that does.
Both banned away there from Fudge. It's looking like a Renekton on 4 potentially for me from NRG. You know,
Jax being banned is kind of bizarre.
C9 concerned about it. They could ban off the Renekton.
Why would they do that?
Don't want to deal with it. You know, if they're worried about something getting swapped around. But you know, we are expecting still the Rumble to be going top.
All right, it's Jax banned out by Energy. They do not want to give that over to Fudge. Ari, the final ban for C9, wanted to keep that away from Palafox. Energy.
What I don't like about this is that Lulu has almost no synergy with Rumble. I mean, the extra move speed is good. Yeah, Rakan is more likely.
But no, it's still an engaged support meta. They're going to pick up the Rakan. He does have some peeling capabilities. Can apply some.
Dude, this wombo combo that they've put together is pretty intense. Renekton making it through bans is kind of ridiculous.
One of the most sought after pairings here from the start of playoffs.
Even versus Rumble, right? Just the tools are too good, and Jace can be played into that matchup too.
So you get the maximum effect out of that Rumble ultimate. That damage.
Most likely going to be a Renekton top, Jace mid though.
That up perfectly.
So it is going to be Renekton coming in.
So now you have 4 melees to pair with Sejuani. You got really nice team fighting because of that, extra stuns. The Nautilus Kai'Sa lane is deadly. Nautilus very good into Rakan. But I'm scared. I'm honestly Nautilus or Sejuani. If either one of them dashes in, you're just inviting Rumble ult, and you could have huge problems here.
And he is going to need some physical damage. It's going to be the mid Lucian coming out.
Lucian, all right. Lucian Rel. No,
this
is going to get swapped.
And that's actually played it. So there is potential, but I am expecting it to be Lucian mid and the Zeri bot. We'll see what Palafox wants to do, but he has been one of the guys that's played some of the 80s mid. Obviously, he's big on the Trist. When AP
you can do both, but the reason Lucian's going mid is because of the Rel, okay? It's Rel. Rel now with all the CC that she offers means that Lucian's can get that much more extra damage from his procs, and so with Rel you can get those iterations multiple times off, and you can just burst down the Jace.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
So now they're 2v2s winning as opposed to losing.
Very aggressive pick. I do think you can match up pretty well.
You could put Zeri in the mid, right? There's nothing wrong with it, and Rakan Lucian is fine, but it's just not as good, right? Lucian can just dominate this by themselves. Palafox is absolutely crushed on this matchup. Oh man, hype. Cool draft. Love seeing Rumble plus Rel. Rel holding people down for a while. Huge Abyssal Mask aficionado. And that's going to be super good for the Rumble as well. Rumble's just in such a jacked spot. Like, he's so strong. Still not getting picked up in solo queue as much as they could. But dominating in pro play. All right, Cloud9 has been head and shoulders above everyone else. If I were going to pick a way to try to attack them, you need to get into their jungle, and from their jungle you go bot, right? So you have to put Berserker behind, and unfortunately easier said than done, but it's, you know, that's got to be the goal. You got to have goals. All right, so invading topside jungle, you're going to see the net effects of this, right? You get the 4-man invade. They keep Lucian mid, so he's able to collapse. Chances are the enemy team, if they're fanning out, they're not going to be able to contest anything over here. So they do get a deep ward. They get to see the start. And specifically, this is going to rule out all of the western quadrant into southern quadrant starts for the jungle. So we'll see if Sejuani tries to manufacture herself a way to do this anyways. You can start on wolves. It's generally not as effective as getting like a raptor start. You can also do raptors and red. Red can be leashed while you take the raptors. You smite the camp away, you deal so much AoE damage that it bursts down. But they're opting for just a leash here. Now this is going to actually amplify the effects of this ward now. Now you know a leash and definitely bot, right? Like this is pinpointing exactly where the Sejuani is going to be. And so we'll see what kind of option Rel can take. So you see Rel going raptors into Krugs. A big mistake people make oftentimes is going red second. You want the red buff to last longer, right? So there's no reason to take it first here. Alphax looking for the spike, is willing to miss a last hit to go for it. That money pays itself off, right? You can think of it in terms of 21 gold right there on the spot, whether or not you're going to shop with that gold and whether it's going to matter compared to the potential for getting an extra hit in while you're level 2 or even more hits. So you saw M&S reacting and playing back, but that's the pressure that you can get. You can sometimes cause even more trade-off where you get damage into the other opponent, or you can cause them to miss the same last hit. Either way, it's a positive turn. And if you can turn one missed CS on purpose into a play like that, then that'd be stupendous. Nice job by Fudge. This is great scouting here. All right, so now we're going to get in this weird situation where Rumble's got push pile, Lucian's got push pile, and Rel's invading. Both junglers are on level 3 with all 3 camps. Now they're going under turret and they're doing it before they missed. How did Rumble end up turning away? That doesn't make any sense. How did that happen? And why isn't Lucian here? Lucian has to be here. The whole point of this play is that you've got more numbers. All right, so I want to know what caused Rumble to turn around, and if I'm Energy, I'm calling for a pause immediately because that just shouldn't have happened because they lost out on significant time. I want to see that play again. But also, Lucian had the Jace completely pushed in. That play needs to be mirrored by Lucian coming top to clean up the remnants. Good job dodging there. Taking this matchup to its limit. You see how these guys only pop the potions, by the way, when they're super low, right? When the fight's starting and you're already going to engage, that's because your regen per minute goes up based on how low you are. Now you have to be careful here if you're Palafox. Jace's got a few more resources, of course, can get more mana back. Does get caught out on vision again. Sejuani also being seen here. Not being seen, sorry. Sejuani having the spot on them. They end up going out. Was that a missed X-Flash? Okay. Energy potentially feeling... +2 gold? What was that? What was the +2 gold there? Oh, it had to be first strike. Okay, it was the extra first strike. If Contracts baited that, then I'm going to say that he's a master baiter because like the immediate domino effect of that, we're going to say that we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt that this was a fake out. The failed Hex Flash meant that now Jace felt like he was strong, be like, okay, Hex Flash is gone, I've got a window, I can step up, nothing's going to happen, and there's Rakan ready to go in with a flash gank of their own. So that felt like it was scripted. Absolutely love the preparation if that's where they're at. Now Renekton full Rage Bard is going to be able to get 2 Qs off, uses 1 to call the wave. Very hard to gank Renekton when he's in this state. He's not even going for a EQ right there. He could have. Absolutely could have done it. Wanted to keep more of these casters alive for longer. Oh my gosh, M&S is going in. Blabber's got the aggro. And they come out cleanly. 0 damage taken by Sven or M&S. That's fantastic play by Blabber. Using the Aftershock to the fullest. Do you see these guys going Aftershock, by the way, and not Glacial Augment? That's because as the junglers, when you're coming over, your time is more valuable than everybody else's. If you're making the commitment to come over, you need to ensure the effectiveness of the play. And having Aftershock means that you will have those extra stats for the turret dive to ensure that it does go in your favor, right? So that's the reasoning why you might see a lot more fighting in bot lane, a lot more frozen hearts in bot lane. That's because they're duking it out over and over and over. They're not relying on Nautilus to be the guy to tank under turret. They want Sejuani to do that job, right? And so for that reason, Sejuani will take the Aftershock. Also, when you start getting into the mid game, it's easily conceivable that Nautilus will be on Boots, Kindle Gem, and Aegis of the Legion, 0 completed items, where Sejuani might have 2 completed items. And so when you're thinking who can actually turret dive in those situations, obviously the guy with the Aftershock and the 2 items, or I should say naturally the guy with the 2 items is the one who has the diving advantage, and therefore you put the Aftershock on them. So that's the thought process going in there. Let's see, this is level 4 Rel on double Ruby Crystal, not even having the Bomby Cinder. Normally you'd want to have Bomby Cinder at this point for this level 4 Dragon Clear. Generally though, you won't be level 4. If you succeed on those kills up there, Rel would have been level 5 here and would have been able to kill this. So I wonder if this play is at least in part predicated on the planning that they normally go through. Like, here's the script. These teams often script the first 6 minutes of the game. And then even to 7.5, basically they want to script all the way through to second clears of buff camps, and you want to be able to get plays because that coincides with the Rift Herald, and then you start playing from there, right? But these teams can easily script the first 8.5 minutes. I wonder if that Dragon take was in part because they expected to have the kill up in top. They thought Rel would be 5. They thought she would have Bomby Cinder, but either way, they're able to take that for themselves. Going against the Rage. Nice job by Contracts to be there. Now Rumble gets to turn this and deal a significant amount of damage back. Like the play from Blabber though, right? Omnipresent, just always everywhere. There's a lot of discussion going on right now because Agurin, German player, went to Korea and has now sustained... Oh, miscommunication there. Has now sustained rank 1 despite being a completely reactive player, right? Farm, 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 go to where we need to go, play near perfectly when it's time, doesn't become flashy or anything, doesn't have huge micro outplays, but he just makes consistently good decisions, keeps his tempo up at all times. And you compare that to Blabber, who's like omnipresent, right? Always doing things. Now the difference, that's probably the main difference between solo queue and pro, right? In pro, you can actually script these things. Beautiful turn, all right. Nice job setting this play up. Complete overstay. No, I don't like that at all, Dokla. That ult could have been used on the wave, and they could have gone up and taken 2 plates right here. Now Lucian's potentially in a hard place. You see these guys going for these plays. Lucian's kind of after right now. He's trying to churn up his E cooldown. Instead has to flash out. If that ultimate had been used up in the top wave, they would have gone in here to the tune of 2 plates, and this wave would have been bouncing. They would already be back coming into lane, returning from base right now, I should say. Going for the 3v4, getting the kill right there, they should have been fine, right? You don't need to turn around anymore here. Looks like he was trying to get the flash Q onto Dokla, missed it, and that's where the point needed to be to turn back around. They come in here, they get the pink ward down. That's something that you're going to see in these fights. Anytime you have a fight going into a bush, it is paramount, absolutely paramount that you get the control ward in the bush, because it completely changes the amount of damage, who and where can be dealt damage. But they get it down at the price of having the cooldowns back, right? Rel is able to jump back in. So a little bit of an overplay. They should have been happy with just the kill there. They used 6 spells to kill Rakan. And at that point, like, it was 3v4. Right now it's 3v3 and you're down your cooldowns. They have no business continuing into that fight, especially moving into any sort of chokehold against Rumble. If they were able to connect on that play, and I don't know if it was a mechanical thing or what happened with Sven, I'd have to see it a little bit slower. I don't see many replays going on right now, probably because the energy in the crowd is really good. But would like to see some replays, would like to see what happened with Sven on the flash, whether or not he was trying for flash auto or flash Q. It looked like he went for flash Q. Nice peel by Contracts, by the way. Perfectly timed here. Oh, Palafox, a little mistake there. Stepping back instead of sidestepping. Means that he misses out on some extra damage. Also not getting damage on MNS right there. A couple missed opportunities for clicks. Can end up dropping the Herald for tempo, right? This is something that you need to work into your gameplay. Now they want to get this. They also want to get the Dragon respawn timer to be profitable. So Palafox wants to spend. Now I would have liked him to come up and actually grab the second plate. You absolutely could have gotten it. And getting the second plate would have meant you have that much more gold to go and shop for this dragon, right? So right now, Palafox is doubling down and saying, hey, I actually have stronger clear right now. The problem is Jace can one-shot this entire wave, right? You go QE from range form, jump in, get the W on, switch forms, Q in, and then you have the W going off AoE. You clear off all the minions. With that, he ends up slowing it down. Why does he slow it down? I don't know why he did. I think he just didn't want to be out in the river because they still don't know where Rakan is. Thought there might have been a trap, but we'll see. Right now, Dragon is respawning. Lucian's coming back to lane. He's teleporting. Okay, so this is how he's regaining his teleport, his tempo. He's using the teleport. Problem is, bottom has no tempo either. Good news is Zeri can join Dragon fights from further away than anyone else in the entire game. Okay, maybe Karthus notwithstanding. Sometimes Seraphine as well. Ooh, Dokla, and look at that position, but it's still not good enough. Renekton's showing is like, this is my spike, fellas. And this is what I'm talking about. That change in the tempo by not going and just playing hard for 5 seconds longer, getting that plate immediately means that Lucian's a little bit later going on for his recall, means he's a little bit late coming back to lane, and they never actually get a face onto the Dragon Pit. I don't know how you allow that to happen. So I'm going to say a major tempo misplay from NRG. Also a micro misplay up in top. The fact that your Ignite Rumble lost to a teleport Renekton here is a very, very big deal. All right, good job by Dokla getting the majority of the damage out. You see a good job by Fudge using the stun. And showing the strength. Early MR, right? Getting that early Maw. Maw certainly wins against Night Harvester in those trade situations. They're going very much, you know, realizing that the enemy team is heavily indexed, right? They are. They're hugely indexed to the point where we're expecting this rel to go second or third item Abyssal Mask, right? So realizing that Maw of Malmortius is just going to carry an insane amount of value. And showing it right there. Big advantage for Cloud9 going in. The fact that NRG failed the top dive. They were not able to secure the second dragon despite having a Lucian in the mid lane. The fact that Rumble loses the 1v1, perhaps not realizing that Maw of Malmortius was going to win by that much. This is a tremendous advantage. Literally every position on the map winning for them. Now we'll see if we end up getting a Liandry's Anguish over a Luden's Tempest here. We've seen the occasional Crown of the Shattered Queen against heavy engage compositions. Here we go. We see 4v3. Rakan's going to try to peel. He's just pulling everyone out. Zeri gets time with everyone grouped up, gets a big ultimate off, and they can deal lots of damage. I like that FBI is maximizing his damage output, but you do have to be careful about Renekton, but they realize 5v5, better to just pull out from there. Zeri showing exactly how strong she can be, and she's not even big yet, right? This is small Zeri. Later in the game, that combination of Rakan and Rel to hold everyone down, and then Zeri and Rumble to rip people apart is going to be tremendous. I do prefer these Static Shiv AP builds for Zeri. I don't know if that's where she's going to go. All right, Dokla, another like wayward ultimate. They're going to get some damage here. They may even be in a winning position, right? But maybe not. Maybe they just don't get anything. Flash from Dokla. All right, good. I'm glad that he's able to, or that he's willing and able to burn Flash Ignite there to secure a kill, because they used so many resources, they would have been compounding all the issues if they left that set. So I actually like, in the end, you don't like to see that. All those resources used, you only get one kill on a support. It's no big deal, right? Especially one that's running Hex Flash. But in that moment, after you've made mistakes, saying, okay, no, this is where we can go, and I can actually get more out of this. And realizing that you have a window and taking advantage of that window is a big deal. All right, but Fudge absolutely taking it right now. And Rumble needs to get out of this situation, right? You are Sork Shoes and Night Harvester. You are built for team fights. You do not want to be in a 1v1 versus a Maw of Malmortius Renekton. This team absolutely wants to be in team fights in general. Now, one thing I don't really like, perhaps it's necessary because of the damage profile. I really don't think so. It looks like it's going to be a Navori Quickblades. Yeah, you know what? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Zeri's going to do. I presume she's going to be going Navori Quickblades, going for the full damage overtime carry, but the AP build deals so much damage in a chunk, and if you're going to have this Abyssal Mask going up into the Rel, I think that's a position that they can happily be in. Now, Rel's probably going to go with Merc Treads because we have the Nautilus, the Sejuani, and the Renekton that you have to chew through. Yes, most of the damage is coming from physical sources, but the fact that you're going to be potentially held up by those guys, you need to make sure you can get free and cast your peel, cast your big CC, because again, this team is going to be like a hook and reel, right? You're going to have Rakan to gather them up, Rail to just keep them in place, and then Rumble to sweep right through. That's going to be the source of their damage. Now, one thing I will say about Lucian in this situation, even though it feels like his spells are largely like AoE, they have potential effects to deal damage to waves, for example. In fights, he's largely single target damage. So we've got dash forward with ultimate, forcing flash. Good job. A little bit of an overstep perhaps by Berserker. Again, we see these guys, kind of in, kind of out, not with fluidity of thought and motion. Now, with those resources gone, do they think they can take this fight? Probably not, because Zeri Ultimate's down, so C9 should be willing to move in here. Are they opting out? No, they're saying we can give. Okay. I mean, dragons are not consequential, so they don't really need to go for it. And you, of course, don't want to be giving the fight to the team that has 3 level 11s right here. 3 level 11s on their important characters. That could be like a huge setup, and that's what they want, is these fights. But the fact that FBI was down in Ultimate is something that they should have considered. In the end, though, they end up trading out. Dragon goes out. They get the kill on the mid lane turret. They're backing out. Now we're going to see a reset, and we're going to start seeing syncopated spawns on Barons and Dragons. Okay, so it's going to take some nuance for these teams to juggle the position. If you're NRG with your team fighting team, you want to force these fights around the pits. C9 is looking to get picks, right? So they want to be there, they want to set up, they want to get vision, they want to clear sideways. They have the advantage in the sidewave matchups. So they're going to stand out there, push those waves out, get a little bit more advantage, and then move in and try to create vision for themselves before you have any presence from NRG. So you see in the river right now, Sven has already gotten in a zombie ward and another ward pushing forward. They're going to look to get another ward in the middle of this lane, kind of halfway deep. Pushing forward, that'll give them some insight as to where NRG are moving, and C9 wants to find space and then be able to engage on the one person who hasn't gotten into position yet, or is basically has gotten too far trying to get vision for themselves, namely Rakan or Rel. Now, both of those champions, very mobile, very capable of flying around and avoiding that contact. So we'll see how long NRG is willing to keep themselves in these side lanes and get that vision back for themselves. Where they decide to get it, they may decide for an off-center right vision flex and essentially control the entire bot half of the map with that. And then with their bodies, they can go and position themselves in the river. The question is going to be whether or not the threat is big enough, and the answer might be no from this draft. Like I've said many times so far, NRG's draft is really solid. My one issue is that Lucian is a little bit too much single target damage, but with all of the AoE that gets dealt at the beginning between Rumble, Zeri, Rel, Rakan, right, all of that is AoE damage. Sometimes you just need that single target, like find this guy and kill that guy and move on to the next. So it could be all right. It's doing fine. Palafox has been playing it well. Has been outplaying M&S so far. But the big difference right now, Sejuani and Renekton just insanely large, insanely big. We do have Navori Quickblades coming in from Zeri, looking for a lot of the ability damage. That is a huge part of how she functions, so I'm looking for a lot of sustained damage over there. Not just that, but the ability to get multiple W's in the fight and multiple E's, right? Getting the E means that you have access to extra range and extra AoE on your damage. That stuff adds up. A little bit of a misplay by Contracts, getting too close to the Baron and letting the Bombies, the Sunfire, I should say, take on the Dragon. So ends up taking a bit of a chunk right there. Not that much, but 15% adds up. Let's see again. Renekton, first to push, first to move. Coming over, nope, ends up just balking. Says Lucian stays here, so I'm going to come pick up this wave as well. What Energy may consider is trying to go into a fork, then hard forcing one of the objectives, right? Because either way, either one, they win. And they can allow the other team, they can take third dragon and say, we've got a strong enough team fight that you're not even that good with Baron. Risky proposition for sure, because Baron's always going to lead to favorable game states. And if you had a disadvantage, now you just don't. But with their team fight, they might be saying, hey, it's okay. We'll take Dragon 3. We'll let you take Baron. We'll go for Dragon 4. I don't like that plan, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're on it. All right, so the all-important minute before the spawns. Let's see where we get the vision coming from here. Cloud9 taking control of Dragon Vision. Okay, so this is where they want to go. This favors Energy to force the better objective. They would have been willing potentially to just take a free dragon and then take a late contest onto Baron. Instead, no, are they really opting for this? I don't like this. All right, well, Rumble's going to come on over. With all the waves being down, equalized in the top lane, those waves will just stagnate. They will get a slight push for the team that has higher levels, but very, very, very slight. They are saying that now is our time. Everyone on our team is spiked. We're 9s and 11s across the board. Let's find a pick, get this AoE damage. But here we go. We get the Shane CC. Lucian dies without dealing any damage. Now, the Rumble ultimate is perfect, but C9 got what they were looking for. Now, is it too much damage? They were sitting in that Rumble ultimate in that corridor for an exceptional amount of time. Kaisa not able to rejoin the fight, perhaps not realizing that the team was that big into it. Now, ultimate is up, right? Flashing forward and dodging CC. Berserker just going crazy right here. They're going to clean this whole thing up. I do not like that Energy came for this dragon. What were you doing? Cloud9 invested everything to get their vision on the bottom side river. Okay? You go and get topside river. You're winning because you're getting the Baron out of that exchange. If they get D2 and you get Baron, you are so far astronomically ahead. Not just that, but you would have denied them the advantage of getting a pick, and instead you would have forced them into a team fight into the area of the map that you wanted. Instead, you walked right into C9's hands. You walked into their picks. Lucian dies, dealing 0 damage. That was the best case scenario for Cloud9, and Energy just walked right into it. That was really bad. Palafox. All right, so we got his ult off, but that's it. Renekton comes in from the backside, gets a stun off. Chain CC, beautifully done by the Sejuani. Right, you have Renekton starting off with a stun into the knock-up from the Sejuani, into the stun from the Sejuani. Lucian's got nowhere to go. Oh, beautiful ult by a Rumble. Those are the spots that you want to fight. If you're Rumble, you want to get into those positions where you're laying out those red carpets into those corridors where there's no good option, right? You deal such tremendous amounts of damage with Night Harvester. Everyone who gets touched gives you a speed boost, which empowers your Q in turn, gets you a chance to land your E, and if you land your E, that guy's dead. A double Navori Quickblades showing the strength of that item. Gale Force has been nerfed enough, and Infinity Edge has never been good enough. So the Navori Quickblades taking over. What do we have next? Interesting. Last Whisper doubling down into here. It's going to be Lord Dominic's regards because of the amount of beef on that team, right? Jace building sometimes at some point some amount of HP. This game he hasn't done it, so the Lord Doms isn't going to have as much of the effect. And if we had cut down on Zeri, which is a popular choice, won't have as much of an effect either. But this the Beefcakes and Renekton and Sejuani will have it. You're going to get HP from the Nautilus build. So really like this itemization. You're going to have to chew through those tanks in these team fights. But again, nothing's going to matter if you're walking yourself into these inferior positions. You need to play your team the way it's meant to be played. Okay, so showing exactly how much damage comes out from this W build. When you're hitting, it is insane. And right, and we could like even keep track of W casts versus auto attacks from Kai'Sa, and you'll see just like how much it matters. Now, naturally, you do need to be able to hit through on the turrets, but I love the build here. This is where I think Kai'Sa excels. You got these AP carries. Corki be damned. You know, Corki, by the way. Ooh. Going to chain CC. You got smart play. Smart play by Ignar. Oh, beautiful ult by here we go. Rumble. Rumble, the ult has to come right now. Oh, a horrendous ultimate. Oh no. Dokla punted this whole thing so bad. Completely misevaluating what the fight was going to do. Throws the ultimate behind them. They just walk forward, ignore it, realizing that now their biggest tool is just gone. Chain CC onto the Lucian. Berserker holding the aggro too. Just insanely good. Ooh, hello damage. Good play by Dokla there, using the W on the Zhonya's to kill the wave, preserve the turret. Berserker was starting to press his limits. Feels like this team lives and dies by Dokla. Palafox is always there. Dokla has you know, great moments, and he's got moments. But what I was saying right here, Rakan using the ultimate so that when you come out, there are 0 frames. Not just like 1 or 2 or 3 frames to be able to flash out. There are 0 frames because you wake up into contact on a charm. So impossible to get. There are some spells that you can and can't react to. That's one where it's just like, nope, coming out of Zhonya's, you're just dead. All right, so now ever since that faded 4th dragon option by NRG to come contest, this game has just steamrolled, snowballed into Cloud9's favor. Basically nothing they can do wrong right here. The absolute best play is to take Renekton in mid and put 4 people in top and just start smashing these turrets like this, control the north side quadrant. Renekton very safe. He's never going to be threatened there. He can always move in. They can also go for mid and say, hey, we're just going to hold down the quadrant, the eastern quadrant, because we have the supers pushing in here as well. And that's enough for us to secure the next dragon. I don't think that they need to make that change, but it is a safe play. You are, in turn, going to lose some of your dragon priority and give back some of the tempo to do this, though. So it's clear what they're trying to do is, hey, dragon spawning in 20 seconds, barons in 50. What we can do is just stay here, stay in mid, use this permanent prio that we have from the supers in bot lane and the fact that we control the eastern quadrant and use that to control the dragon. Now, if I'm NRG, though, what I'm doing is I'm just going to push out mid and go top. Right, there's nothing to be gained by going to this dragon. They should not even try to do it. They should try to get a position and give themselves outs right here. Lucian, it's fine because he's got the teleport. I'm okay with Lucian going bot to match the supers and to match the Renekton. But the rest of the team, look at them go right now. Start hedging over to the top side. You could have taken mid turret while you're at it to get this extra gold. Not really that the gold matters this much, but you want that turret gone so that you have extra access into the western quadrant. Instead, I love this play by Fudge. Coming over, using the fact that he's got prio in the eastern quadrant means that he can just trespass from bottom to mid and just come straight over and sort of fast track their way over. Realize that you are exceptionally strong, and if the enemy team tries to get on you, you're just going to turn it right back on them. And because of that strong play, Brilliant play, honestly, by Fudge. They're going to seize control of this. Now they've got supers in the bot. They've wrested the control out of NRG's hands in this quadrant. They're even walking up to some semblance of control in the northern quadrant itself. Love this play by Contracts. Ooh, getting a couple extra stuns to get Blabber to take some extra damage, but then missing the continuation. Now, Contracts, very, very, very beefy here, is willing to just hold Baron aggro, and this is where this game's really strong. I'm going to pause for just a moment. Take stock of what's happened, all right? I'm gonna shut up in a moment. Look at the bot wave. Look at things that have happened. This game ends and you lose if you're NRG and you step away, because now you're forked. There's nothing. Top wave's coming in. Supers are in bot. The mid wave priors can go back to them. They're going to come back to Baron. If you don't force here, you do just lose the game. You are absolutely checkmated. Contracts is making the one defensive maneuver that you can afford to do, which is to go in and hold Baron aggro. You're just exceptionally tanky. You hold the aggro and use that to force C9 into this weird position of, oh shoot, we're actually going to have to fight. You put the stress on them. You allow your team to position, your team fight team to position, and this is a fantastic play by Contracts. They might be far enough down that it won't matter, but I'm going to give credit where it's due. This is a phenomenal call, whoever made this, from NRG. So now Fudge taking a couple of those hits, Sejuani ult being used, and now they just take the control from themselves. Now, there it is. They're going for the engage. They use the Rumble ult up front to get one kill onto Sejuani. Now they bundle everybody up. Rakan gets it, but it's a little bit too spread out. I wish I would have seen Rakan into Rel, into Rumble, and not just a reach on the Rumble. Almost great. Punted again by Dokla. This game's over. Renekton's going to go end over here. Great play by NRG to get in that position. Coaching point right there. If you're the Rumble, you have to put more weight on the effect of probably the biggest teamfight ultimate in the entire game. It's certainly the highest damage one. So you got to get a little bit more out of those uses. But well done by NRG to try to open a door as Cloud9 was trying to slam it shut. That was very well. All right, Blabber is now the winningest player through 300 games in LCS history and just surpassed Bjergsen. Now we get an Ivern, supremely powerful. Alistar Kai'Sa, something I've been talking about for a long time. But to get Alistar Kai'Sa, you had to give Xayah Rakan. So even though Alistar has this huge spike at level 2, Kai'Sa generally at that point is only going to be able to get off a semi-mitigated Q and her single damage proc off. If you're not bringing Ignite into this lane, which they may, but you're going to need the Ignite damage to actually finish these guys off. And if you don't, the combination of the sustained damage from Rakan and Xayah is tremendous at level 2 and 3, especially level 2. We'll see if Xayah is looking for that, whether or not she gets her W, right? A lot of players will go Q into E. That's the only way that you get your root off on your E. But when you do that with Rakan, you're denying Rakan the ability to get those extra empowered auto attacks off, right? And those empowered autos are what swings the matchups when you're getting this combination off. All right, game 2 underway. Now, what can they try to do differently this game? I mean, a colossal punch. Dokla with 2, I'm just going to call blunder ultimates. And the fact that the team didn't go where they were supposed to go at D4, right? At D4, you can't go to where the enemy team has vision when that team's the pick team and you're the team fight team. Yes, you might think that as a team fight team, yes, we want to go there because we want to team fight. But the problem is if you're denied all that vision and the other team has it and you don't, you're going to walk into situations like the one where we had where Lucian just gets engaged on because you didn't see the Renekton. They did see the Lucian. That means that Renekton can get on Lucian. That's how it works. And then with Lucian dead, it doesn't matter how much of a team fight team you have, it's not going to be enough. It's never enough. All right, a little difference, a little adaptations here. We talked about bot lane a little bit. We've got Annie versus Jace. So Annie's going to have a pretty good time here. Jace is going to have a big spike as he gets access to his second spells. They're defending this ward. Wonder if we can see a flash Q from Alistar. I'd like to, oh, right here. Oh no, all right, so he dodged it, great. Dodging it was probably just as good. I would have flash and Q'd onto Berserker and just get all the damage going on him because he dealt the first auto attack. The minions would be on him. You've already got vision in the bush. But now with Zombie Ward and Sweeper, it means that they've actually gotten the control for themselves in this bush. That's actually a pretty big deal. Now look at them fighting. Every single attack is going forward. They're fighting for these minions, and NRG says we have it. We're going to start more trades. We've got it, and here we go. That's what we're talking about with Alistar Kai'Sa. Level 1, you have that tremendous advantage with stun and the effect of getting the empowered auto. Xayah Rakan only really comes online once you have the W empowered from Xayah, and then level 3 is where it's most deadly. Ooh, another opportunity. Could have been a flash Q right there. I think they could have bit. I mean, largely the reason they're not doing this, pause the video for a second. Why are they not flash queuing on Alistar? Well, simple. It's because they know. Right? They know where Ivern is. They don't know where Rel is, and Rel could easily be on a 3 camp bot back. So they don't want to be in a position where they're going flash Q and then having Rel just jump over the wall right at them. They don't have enough information. Now, sometimes in pro, you have to go with not having all the information in the world, but it just doesn't make a difference, right? At that position, sometimes it doesn't matter if you might get beat. You just have to take the odds-on play. Right? You're definitely getting a kill there. The question is whether or not you're getting both kills and whether or not the Rel is there. And only sometimes is Rel there, and only sometimes does that result in a losing trade. Right? Whereas you just definitely win the trade if you step forward. Smite. All right, let's see where else we got action. Ooh, interesting play here. Good job by Contracts to sidestep this, but they have a disadvantage. Annie's showing up level 4. She will be able to prime her stun here. She's going to go for it. Yep. 1, 2, 3 gets the big combo out. But now Jace says, all right, that's all you've got. I'm going to keep coming. I've got an Ivern to back me up. On top of that, I have an Alistar, and we see the combination of Ivern Alistar right there. You use the Q on Ivern, and then you right-click with Alistar, and you will get ported right in. That lets you use your Pulverize, and it lets you save your Headbutt for later. A lot of people use the W as a gap closer on Alistar, rightfully so, right? But sometimes you just get W. You can make mistakes, and B, you'd rather get the Q and the full duration of the Q and then have the stun from the E. We'll see. This team putting it to them now. Alistar, ever since his buff, now has by far the highest amount of stats in the bot lane. Tremendously so. And to the point where they're saying even Xayah Rakan, like, we're willing to take you, right? Especially level 1. That's when the armor means the most in the game. And they took advantage of that window. So good for them to do that. Now, this top lane matchup, we've seen it be very fickle, right? Jax can actually just snowball this lane on his own, right? It's largely a skill matchup about turning on the stun as Renekton, and immediately in answer, you need to have your audio on to hear the when he charges his W. But when he has the stun ready, you get the Counter-Strike as Jax, and then trying to wait out the duration right there. Fudge tried, it looks like he tried to go for an auto W there, and actually Jax was able to create just enough distance to not get the reset. That would have been completely backbreaking. But what we see in these spots, right, you don't need to get the stun off if you're Renekton. If you just play for normal auto attacks and you play for Qs, you actually do win this matchup. So largely these iterations are going to go who has Counter-Strike, who has the stun, who has access to that, and they basically win from there on out. But if Renekton has full Fury, he can absolutely go for these fights. Good dancing by Ignar to dodge some roots, but I'm surprised that he was not willing and able to go get a stun right there and get a little bit more damage, because those stuns, right, those pay off so tremendously, especially when you have Kai'Sa in your lane. Ooh, big damage. A little bit of miscommunication here. And Contracts puts the shield on himself, which means he doesn't have it for the Palafox. All right, there it goes. It's back up. Short cooldown, one of the buffs that he got in return for buffs being shared to everybody, which is a wonderful change. I think everybody likes that. But Ivern has been very, very strong since that point. And showing one of the things, right? The quality of life, the E being able to come back, having no real threat of it. Oh, no real threat that it's going to come back to bite you. Jax using the ultimate, coming out, and they end up trading back. Now, it's really interesting to see. I believe we saw it in Korea first, the Grasp of the Undying being used on Jax to take this matchup and just snowball with it. You end up giving a lot of your split push presence away by not having Conqueror, but the fact of the matter is, split push is basically dead this year and last year, right? The power of the marksman is too high. The power of the buffs is too high. If you go split push, you end up dying to team fight ever since the durability patch, right? Because it's just too, they can withstand too much from the 4 people trying to poke and deal in an area. Like ever since durability, that hasn't been a concern for the team that's holding down the 4. Or for holding down the 5. They don't get poked enough by the 4. Slight misplay by Blabber there on the CS. Deal though. All right, so Renekton versus Jax. We did see Renekton holding this lane perfectly for himself, winning trades while he was going under turret. Dokla trying to get the most out of Grasp. But then on the rebound, Fudge was not able to get that much more going in for the fights as he pushed in the wave, right? You're supposed to be very aggressive with the control of the wave. He was doing that fairly well, but props to Dokla for holding on and actually being able to get out of that lane with a full crash, not having it just slammed back in with a double stack and a good recall. So he's able to get himself back into a reasonable situation here. Now here we go. Let's see, we're forcing the fight. 5 people coming in. Dokla very late getting out. Ben, good job getting extra damage, but it's not going to be enough. Now the power of Daisy right here. Daisy's just cracked. Big AoE stun. Extra speed. Ever since her speed boost change, they actually had to nerf that. Ever since her speed boost change, she's been quite oppressive in these situations, right? You're 2 champions. Daisy's like having a whole nother champion. All right, Energy holding it down, able to get the Herald for themselves. Kaisa also able to nurse a frozen wave state here, so she'll be looking to pop this back. She can try to hold it right now and let it crash while Alistar comes back to the lane. This would allow Ivern for some time to swing down to bot lane as well, and they can potentially make a play here, which would pretty much coincide with Dragon, right? If it takes you 90 seconds to put everything together, line your ducks up in a row, keep this thing frozen. Now, they don't have the prerogative, right? C9 will just be able to choose to crash it, and that's what they decide to do. They say, no, let's just crash this wave, get it all the way in while we know that Alistar's gone. And while he's gone, now we're going to go and just slam this wave over and over and over and sort of mitigate the power of the Alistar in this situation. Berserker getting a little bit loose with his wave clear right there. It opened up a window for sure. But they're not able to take advantage. Rakan being the mobile guy that he is. Gets in, gets out, gets vision for themselves. It looks like everyone's going to be battling for this dragon. Deeper ward advantage goes to C9. NRG is going to want to get one behind the blue buff to really give Jax any sort of way to teleport into this fight. They may opt to just stay in this top lane situation because the grasp is so strong here, but you can see this level of disadvantage. It's about to come back. Jax will get it back for himself soon. 2 more minions right here. And you're actually going to take the fight. Boom. Gets level 9. So good heads up play by Dokla there, saying, hey, I can take this fight. I'm about to level up. I'm going to get some healing from it. I don't mind giving up a CS to make sure they force you out of this situation where you don't get the comfortable Qs that you're looking for. Now, interesting, Xayah has looked to just continue pushing this lane. Largely, that's what you're going to do when you're in a losing position. And we saw the level 1 tremendous advantage that Kai'Sa Alistar got from themselves. That has leaned its way into an early static shiv, which means Kai'Sa's been just ripping through these waves at will. That's what's been allowing her to play 1v2. And that's why Kai'Sa, or why Xayah feels the need to just push the wave out, right? Push, reset, push, reset, push, reset. That's a good way to play when you're behind. All right, Fudge going for it. Good job by Dokla getting it up front on the damage. Has the E available. We tried to wait for them to take any amount of aggro before going in. Ends up being the first one to pull the trigger. Well done by C9. Did you see that waiting game? Wait, right? And eventually you get the Jax to pull the trigger first. Like I said, it's whoever stuns first, whoever pushes their button to stun first is the one that loses out in those situations. And Jax, they goaded him into pulling the trigger. He drops the E, which means he's dead to the gank. And now Renekton's going to have a truly remarkable, truly intense advantage for themselves right here. 4 plates, has the kill, has the completed boots and Gore Drinker. Going to be way ahead. Energy getting a little something back from themselves. Dropping Herald for tempo to try to get action into the dragon first. They do have 2 dragons for themselves. Those are the 2 fast dragons. It's a little bit harder to get the rest of the dragons in the game. And Energy actually does have a small gold lead here. Largely stemming from the Kai'Sa because Jax is not it, right? Jax is getting clobbered, and this right here is the point of the game where you have the biggest lead that you will ever have as the Renekton, right? You've completed your item and your boots. You're essentially you're basically 2 items ahead of Jax. Jax only having components, having none of the extra effects here. Means that it's on Renekton to turn this into a big win. Opting to release pressure. This is only good if he can get vision into the Western Quadrant. And it's kind of too early to do it, right? There's nothing that you really care about in that quadrant. The Rift Herald's not coming for 620. And there's no objective. So there's really nothing to gain from being in this position. All right, Renekton taking the most out of that trade. I love it. Culling the wave. Now, he could have actually sat, right? There's no chance of getting any more plates here. I actually don't like it, what he finished that play off. Great job moving in, taking the good trade. Then he goes to push the wave, and he says, all right, this is his plan, right? I'm going to continue pushing everything and go up. But Dokla has teleport. Yes, you're forcing the teleport, but instead you could have also forced a teleport, but with a freeze. And with the freeze, you're getting all those same resources for yourself and denying them and forcing Jax to step out into the lane, into the situation that we already talked is supremely favorable. So a little bit of a missed opportunity there from Renekton. They are going to go back into these lanes. I do want to see Renekton getting into the game to flex soon, but you don't want to give Jax any reprieve, right? You've got this winning position for yourself. Sorry, I believe I said Rift Herald was in 630. I was looking at the Baron buff. Rift Herald coming up in less than a minute. Renekton opting for Shallow Ward and a recall, a fast recall, right? That's what that whole play was sort of predicated on. Then coming back to top only to get ganked just before the spawn. Now this, timing-wise, it's actually the best timing possible. Enemy team shows 4 people on the top side of the map. You can now take mid, push mid, and he gets a free time bot. You have teleport there. Renekton's teleport will be up in time. So timeline-wise, it's actually the best case scenario for this counterplay, but it does mean that Jax is going to get some of that gold back. The question is, what else is your team giving? Now, Xayah's got prio in mid, and Andy's got prio in bot. So they're actually winning in the net gold here. A little bit of an experience gain from NRG to get that big kill on Renekton, but this teleport... I would have liked to see a deeper one than that. They're going to come in and be in a good position, right? He is shopped. Other team is not. Now, it's not a big shop, right? He just came back to lane with his 2 longswords. But they have a position now to go in. They're opting not to do it. They're afraid of the bush. They don't want to also expend Annie's teleport, which means that's a big miscommunication with the team, right? Renekton shouldn't have teleported. If you're not going to contest, then Renekton doesn't need to teleport, and you can use that advantage of saying, hey, we have 2 teleports, you have none, we're still in a good position. Annie ends up balking from bot wave. not getting the turret for themselves, keeping it low, perhaps waiting for a rotation to let Berserker go pick it up, or to let Fudge go pick it up, right? Annie does not scale on levels. She doesn't need them, right? She wants her cooldowns. She's got her base kit. She's very, very strong. And level 11 is basically it. You're not getting a huge spike from 11 to 16, and it's so far away that it doesn't really even matter. Let's see if they go for this play. Rocket Belt into stun. Fudge going for the zoning approach. Dokla taking the opportunity to move into the river and get out that way. So clever escape. And now Palafox is actually going to get this turret. So Annie left it. I don't know. Everything from Cloud9 in the past 2 minutes has been kind of sus. Don't like the play from Fudge on his recall. Could have created the freeze. The 2 longswords were meaningless. Ends up with a bad teleport. Annie's out of position. They don't get anything for themselves. And it's not like they're the tremendous scalers here. You're facing against Kaisa Jax and Ivern. Right, this is a tough team, but they do have plenty of stuns. They've got the AoE. They've got the combination of Rakan Rel that should have won last game, could have won last game. Big AoE start with Annie with the flash. And you see Annie going Lucid Boots, right? She doesn't care about the gold. What matters is the fact that you can flash ult. You flash ult to get a group of them in, and then either Rakan or Rel to continue the sequence, and then the other one to finish the sequence. And in that time, Renekton, basically forcing the issue by walking in behind them. And then sometimes he's the last stun, right? Sometimes you just need one more stun. But this AoE damage, very large. We'll see if they can do more with it than NRG did. Again, like last game, Dokla had some pretty bad punts on the Rumble ultimate. We'll see if we can improve on that. Blabber feeling strong. He's got an Annie shield at their back. See the Jace Kaisa poke, right? Boom, boom, over and over, and basically never relenting, because you've got an Ivern that can put up the terrain, right? You put up the grass, hides your team, very difficult for enemy to do anything. Also completely negates, in some situations like this one, you can negate the effect of a control ward, right? You can actually pull the dragon right in and have your team take it from the grass and never give them any vision. Now, sometimes you're going to see, by the way, a little nuance in Ivern play, whether or not to connect the grass, right? Because when you connect the grass, all the vision in will work to see everywhere in it, right? Apart from some like weird shapes. But when you do that, when you connect the grass, you make it easier for the enemy team to recover some vision inside. By disconnecting, you make a wall of the grass, then river, then the dot bush with your control ward in it. Then now there's like a layer that they have to go through to try to get to you. So good to see NRG using a very good structure on their siege to force that out for themselves. And you're going to see, right, this advantage, this Jace Kaisa combination where one's AD, one's AP. You get fantastic poke between the two of them. Ivern able to put down the wall, the vision wall for them to be able to hold it all together. Oh no. I don't know if he meant to do it. It looks like he did. They probably said, you know what, we can't actually get this pick. M&S, this is what you do not want to get into. You do not want to be in a 1v1 with that Jace. Move speeds abound. And now he's taking it because Ivern's here. Flash forward from the Ivern, and they get the rest of this trade. Daisy's going to pick this up. Huge. Huge. All right. Big mistake by Annie to even be in a position against a 2-item Jace. That's 2-item Jace versus 1-item Annie, by the way. Like, there's a huge discrepancy in the damage. And look at this. No, oh. Also on this play, worth noting that the first strike damage comes out, right? First strike into drop in and get it in. If Annie could have gotten her stun off, which it would be difficult to do, right? Because, Palafox has the jump, gets to choose when to pop it in. You pop the stun on the minions, and then boom, you get the rest of the damage. If Annie were able to reset or get him stunned while the first strike was still down, or charged, we'll say, then it would have been an opportunity for her to get out of that situation. Instead, she can't. Means that we have 2 deaths going in. Energy is able to take top quadrant for themselves. and the river control, and they've got this Ivern situation. Now here's something, right? As I was talking about before, now it's connected bushes because they want this control ward to be cover everywhere. There we go. All right, so we saw it connected. There was one little gap right here that you could have dropped a ward in and it would have seen the Baron and not be seen by the control ward. Here's the ensuing fight. Xayah is trying to scramble out, uses her flash to get the big E out, but the damage coming in from NRG, but it's not enough actually. Holy crap, C9's going to find a way to get this. Despite everything going into the fight, dealing all that damage, they recognize the window. I want to see this again. Xayah surviving as long as she did, and this is where like the bush can be a problem for you a little bit. Good job by Alistar forcing the Rel out right as they're jumping. So here we go, a couple spells on cooldown. Dokla is at 50%, gets a big stun off. Where's the split in the fight? It's just all this AoE damage. They're reaching, trying to get Berserker. He holds a good enough position, and C9 is able to punish everyone that came in for the Berserker kill. They say, you know, kind of like Shredder versus the Ninja Turtles. You might have been able to take me with the loss of but one. Well, that's what they did. So now I'm back in this game. That was all 5 people dead, right? No, Alistar lived. Okay, so Alistar living and Jax living means that we have a couple of Baron buffs. Now the Jax one is huge. You are very far behind the Renekton, so that's going to be a problem. You're still not going to win this 1v1, but having the empowered minions means that you can go ahead and push this lane and you're going to be okay. Then Alistar's going to want to be with the team, but unfortunately for them, they want Alistar to go into quadrants, right? They want the quadrants of the jungle so that they can take advantage of vision, but then you don't get the Baron empowered minions. So Cloud9 just saying, okay, we'll just play back. Take the waves as they come to us. There's not that much threat. Renekton's coming in right now. They're going to give up top pressure to play for this dragon. All right, so this is where you can play split. If you're 3-0, as Energy is right now, and you have a gold lead, you can allow the Jax to be solo. You do not want the Jax on 1.5 items to even come close to this fight. Right, so you're going to go Divine Sunder into Black Cleaver. He's got a completed Black Cleaver now. Now he's happy to come join the fight, but you also would have been fine just poking around at this dragon, make them wonder whether or not you're coming back, and continuing the push. This could have been an inhibitor down in favor of NRG, but they want these situations. They want to get into the spots here with the big bushes going down. The Alistar jumps over the wall, and that is the ticket for C9 to jump forward. MNS goes for picks, but ends up dying to the Jace. Dokla trying to take down everyone. He's 1v3 on Jax. Was that Sterix Gauge? Did he come back with Sterix Gauge? No, it must have been an Ivern. An Ivern Shield. Look at the length of this team fight. The strength of Renekton. Gosh, being manaless in these positions are going to take these fights. Masterful team fighters, but they get FBI back into the bush and they're able to clean up the fight. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. They're going to get this inhibitor for themselves. This might even be an end. Let's see, 23 seconds. Not quite an end call. They're going to be able to get the mid tier 2 and the top inhibitor, and that's it. Jax, this is a mistake. You need to help your team. You need to help your team to get these resources. You want to get this wave, get the next wave in, out, get out. It doesn't actually matter how quickly you get to bot wave. It matters much more that you help your team to secure that objective quickly, and then they can go take the top quadrant while you go recall and go to set up for bot. Very much don't like the early recall there. So let's see it. Rel. Yeah, yep. Split duties here. Split duties on Peel versus Engage. If the whole team had gone in forward and Berserker just with the Xayah self-peel had just used his Let Feathers Fly forward, then they could have potentially taken this fight, gotten 3 kills before they ever lose anybody. Instead, they try to keep the Xayah alive and they end up feeding all that extra damage in, right? I should say they miss out on the extra damage going forward because they're trying to keep Xayah alive instead of just using Xayah's self-peel to that advantage and end up getting massacred. All right, loss of tempo here. That early recall for Dokla to push bot to keep tempo up meant that they didn't actually get the inhibitor up in top lane. actually seeing it now, and the fact that they have a tremendous advantage, right? 7K gold lead, and they know it. A tremendous gold lead, perhaps there are some merits to that. To say, okay, you know, we're just gonna have a huge positional lead where we can just flex with our wallet. But by having no guaranteed threat in on the game, it does mean that you're opening the window for exactly this. What was that? Oh, was that through the shield? Was that Edge of Night being purchased and just blocking this? I don't know. Either way, they reach for the play and they don't get enough. They don't kill Dokla. Again, is half on peel duty and half on engage, and I don't like it. If the play is wrap and engage, it's got to be wrap and engage. You just got to go all out for that. Instead, they opt to try to keep Berserker alive through the Jax. You got to let Xayah be Xayah. Xayah's got that self-peeling tool. And Renekton's going to feel bad about this game, right? Having a full item lead against Jax, and it's not going to be enough to consolidate. The rest of the team's getting clobbered. All right, here we go. Daisy tanking a Baron as she can do. Double shields from the Ivern. Almost, it's not quite permanent uptime. But basically the Baron gets 1 hit out of 3 onto Daisy. Right, so in that iteration, Baron attacked 11 times, only got 3 connections. Maybe that's the 4th one hitting Daisy. All right, Energy. Let's see their end game technique. They've got teleports up on 2. They've controlled the northern quadrant, and they still have some lingering vision in the east. They're going to go up, secure this easy inhibitor. They're going to bring generally your top laner, your fight laner into mid. Sometimes when you have an exposed structure like this, though, it's easy enough to put your Jax in top and put the 4 in mid. You basically only want to have the fighter in the lane that they can walk through. Now, if there's a lane coming through mid, you know, he needs to wait for a wave, essentially. He needs to wait for the wave to come up through mid. And because of that, it's actually a fairly easy defense for C9. So we'll see if Energy fixes their structure. It looks like they won't. Resetting again. Hopefully it's because they've got spikes. It must be because they've got spikes. No, they're doing it for Dragon. Okay, I don't like this. Dragon is not GG. Dragon Soul is not GG. You get Dragon Soul when you have GG. That happens a lot. But trying to say like, hey, we're going to give up all of our tempo and our entire remaining Dragon, our Baron buff to get Dragon 4, that's actually, Cloud9 should be happy, ecstatic about this, right? It lets them resets the wave. It gives them another 3 minutes of reprieve, right? You lose all the tempo that you had, plus it's the time that you need to get that position back. Yes, you have a Hex Soul with a poke team, but you were already up 9K. All right, you were up enough to be able to secure this position for yourselves. By playing this passively, you're actually giving more windows for the enemy team to come out. It means Renekton's now on 3 full items. It means you have the Zonia and the extra Fiendish Codex from the Annie. There's going to be a window here for a hard engage from the Rakan and Rel combination. They're going to wait for Jax to commit to a turret, right? Get him into a position, put him in a tough position where he has to make a difficult choice of join or finish the inhibitor, right? Something like this, or finish the turret. This is what they need to avoid, though. They can't afford for the Jace poke to come unnoticed and for them to deal this much damage. Now they can keep these lines up. As long as someone is in here, these bushes will stay up, what, 45 seconds? They make sure that none of the minions make it into the grass, and now they secure their presence in there. FBI not realizing that he's on a ward, so his, you know, yes, he has a great angle for casting those Ws, but it's not as good when you're seen, right? Quite naturally. You see the permanent uptime right here. This is going to be what I think the last wave. Yep, there we go. Those are the Baron buffs being gone. And yeah, all right, congrats. You did a soul for yourself, but you've lost Baron. You've gotten 0 structures for it. And every time that you reset, right, if you're able to smother the opponents, not necessarily take structures, but say, all right, we've got this huge lead. We can control this quadrant. We control the respawns. We're going to take every single minion and put our waves under your turrets. And we're taking all of your camps, which is giving us an extra 600 gold of econ, right? And the extra experience, 600 gold and XP. That adds up, right? And that's how you can continue to add to your lead. Every 2.5 minutes, you get to just add another 600 gold. Plus the fact that the towers deal so much damage, whereas your team's getting all the last hits on the wave, sometimes they're not getting all of the last hits themselves. So you're basically netting yourself like a 700 gold lead every 2.5 minutes every time you do it. So 5 minutes, 1.5 gold lead, boom, just pop it up, add it up, prop it up. That's how you can take these games and smother them out from a leading position without actually getting the objectives. Ignar saying, this is the time, let me try to get this fight off. Gets 4 people wrapped up, and you get about the best situation that Dokla could have hoped for. And yes, they've got enough of a position here. 3-man to the skies for Jace is going to be enough to shut it all down. There's almost 0 chance that Fudge can carry through this fight. He does have Steric's Gauge, but a lot of good it will do you when you're facing against 5 people. It's not enough. And yeah, Energy takes game 2. Honestly, and they outdrafted game 1 and had positions to win. They easily could have taken game 1. They are potentially looking like a stronger team. Fudge is playing great. Sorry for him that he couldn't secure this win. Where are we going to pinpoint the spot? Where did they drop it? I don't know. Bot lane, level 1. Got to be it, actually. This game just turned into a bot lane snowball. All right, we'll see what happens in game 3. All right, here we go. Game 3, it's 1-1. Winner of game 3 has about an 80% win rate of series. All right, historically across all sports, all formats of all games, anything like tennis with best of 5 sets. Winner of set 3, if it's 1-1, right? If it's 1-1, you win set 3, you win like 81% of the time. So a huge game. It won't be over. Don't ever say it's over. But big leads. We do say Aatrox making it through. All right, Aatrox is extremely strong on this patch. Playing against Jax. Jax can take it to Aatrox early in the game. And you see this lethal tempo, right? If he gets onto him, if Aatrox starts the Q train, then Jax just responds by jumping on you, right? That's, you no longer get the ability to trade back. Fight. You end up getting very slight amounts of Q damage off on Q3, right? And they basically dodge everything else out. They stand away. They don't get stunned by the Q3 stun because you've got no dash, and then they continue to rip into you with lethal tempo versus your Conqueror that only has like 3 stacks on it. That's something you have to be very careful of, that you can be 3-stack Conqueror versus 6-stack lethal tempo in this Aatrox versus Jax matchup. Now Ahri, which we haven't seen yet, versus Taliyah, which I'm very happy to see. Very problematic for Taliyah once you get to level 6 when it comes to fighting. The fact that you don't have a combat ultimate, that your ult largely needs to be played for the rest of the team, swings this matchup for the Ahri in the 1v1, but Taliyah will be able to force these plays for the other lanes. Now we did see the Rel flex in the draft. We get the Sejuani to pair along with it and to pair along with Jax, so you get 3 melees to go with Sejuani to get those more permanent frostbites. Interesting by Maokai. Okay, they had a read that someone came into their jungle, so he was making sure that he wasn't going to get wrapped on. But look what Jax is doing. Level 3 versus level 3. The jungler has extra regen from the jungle item just by being in this area of the map, but there's an actual Doran's Blade in the inventory of the Jax. So this can be a huge problem for Maokai. I like what Dokla's doing. It's allowing Sejuani to get full clear finished, and this whole time the wave has just been bouncing up top. Has not lost a thing yet. Looks like one melee is going to be the price here. One melee is the price of Sejuani getting a 2-camp head start in the jungle. That is actually fairly significant. And now you're going to be in this weird spot where the 2v2 is just absolutely yours. Aatrox trying desperately to get this push off. If you're at Contracts, you're trying to get in an angle. There you go. Lock him up while he's in an animation. Boom, boom. And they get the big chunk off, and now this lane is frozen. Masterclass from top lane. We'll see if M&S is able to turn it. Taliyah might have to top. They're going to let it crash. Oh, man. I would have loved to see them actually hold for this minion wave and not let it crash, and let Taliyah teleport up to this wave and have a 3v3 standoff for the fate of top wave. Instead, we got the spot where now Dokla, having no mana, no resource, is not going to be able to contest, right? No mana, you can't actually continue the fight. You don't have the tools to cast all your abilities. And now you're stuck where they've created a rebound from themselves. So well played by C9 to take a very bad situation and fix it for themselves. And we see early Kirch's Shard on Zeri. Very good for the amount of poke that she can bring in. She can control that a little bit better than a lot of other champions. Sejuani going for an invade while they have Ignar here, and Taliyah's got the push. Taliyah will have the push advantage on these, especially the cannon waves. Ahri can clear the wave in 2 Qs, no big deal. Dokla using just enough mana. How is he doing this? It had to be presence of mind. Was able to actually get, with the level up and the extra mana, was able to calculate exactly how much mana it would take to go for that all in, and punishes Aatrox on swords. No, that can't be right. That can't be right. I have to bring it back. Okay, no, it's on base items. Okay, of course. It had to be on base items. Aatrox had this position where they could have walked out and come back to their lane and been completely fine. I don't know why they didn't opt to do this. We talked about this position where Jax would be in a pinch where they wouldn't be able to overstay, but with just enough mana and presence of mind, specifically with presence of mind, there may even be biscuits somewhere in here. I don't think I saw biscuits. No, if he doesn't have biscuits now, he's not using biscuits. But Jack's able to take this lethal tempo advantage up in top lane. I wish I could just click up here to see this fight. But you see, like, this resource, boom, once you get right there, boom, it pops off. One little hit, boom, you get a little bit of extra mana from one hit. And with one hit, now you're at enough where you can cast all your spells. I want to see how this goes. There's the jump, there's the E, there's the W. Yep, it's ticking up, right? It's ticking up. He's got enough mana to be able to close this out for himself. Doesn't even need it. Gets one more Q off anyways. Live or die by the Dokla. Although last game he got gapped in top lane and he still won. So yeah, maybe they're changing that. Now this is not a matchup where you need grasp, right? As Jax, you want to snowball this early game against Aatrox. If you can get big enough, right? If you can get like an 800 gold lead or a half level, where you have moments where you're ahead of them. Seeing what they do, what the different guys say. All right, here we go. Taliyah wall being used to knock Alistar out of the fight. Sven tries to hold on to a position long enough to be able to sit there and maybe get Alistar to jump over the wall, but he ends up taking too much damage, not realizing that the gap's there. I suppose that must have been Blabber on Maokai. Oh, Jack's finding his window in. Oh my goodness, we're gonna have a snowball game. Are they really trying for this? If you're M&S, you need to get this wave in, you need to get out, you need to get safe, and Aatrox needs to go with his 2 plates and back out. 2 plates for himself. This is not a position where you need to recall for tempo, all right? Because you've already lost an item to the Jax. If you know the teleport's coming, it's fine. It would still be fine to go in and get a chunk of damage in before you get out. The problem being with this lethal tempo diff is that you will get run down, right? Jax will run you down. Aatrox is going to have to find every window possible to get more items into his building. It looks like he's going Serrated Dirk. That build is still very strong in 13-14. But make no mistake about it, Jax is going to win these all-ins if they come up. Great job by FBI holding the wave so that they can get all the last hits. Copy that. Good job by Talia holding that wave. So Energy doing the small things. Getting the little things for themselves. Sejuani with a beautiful start to the game. 2 assists, has the early Bami Cinder. Blabber got Maokai. They allowed him to get that pick, but they have not turned it into anything. But we'll see about these late game fights. And when we do look at these big team fights, right, obviously the Talia wall is going to be a big part of everything. And you can sort of respond to Maokai's ultimate by casting Talia ultimate. You can say, all right, you guys are forcing a fight, we'll force the no fight. Right? You always have that option with those two. But as far as like mobility in the fights, the fact that Maokai has so much setup that you have Zeri and Ahri that can dash around, Aatrox that can move around, these longer fights are going to favor C9. And for that reason, Energy's going to have to be very careful about exactly who and where they go for any amount of damage on these plays, because the continuation is very, very strong. So if Talia wall goes down, for example, you better believe that C9 is going to say, okay, that's down. Let's see what you got, and right, force the issue from there. Chain CC, well done. A little bit of an overlap there. They could have done a little bit better. Cloud9 Fudge getting his ultimate off. Ooh, okay, interesting position. Baiting Maokai into this jump. Maokai is going to flash out, forcing another flashback. Good job by Palafox getting them to come back over, right? You've got vision, they don't. They don't realize that you're going to have 3 people on this fight. Ignar shows up and swings it. That's a very, very good job. Now, something that we don't see nearly often enough, Kai'Sa staying mid, you send the top laner bot, and you do an iteration like this. This is the best rotation. Glad to see this from NRG. Props to their coaches for emphasizing this. This is the maximum way to get resources for yourself. Now you can see how much they prioritize tempo. They never stick around for the plate. You get the plate when you get the plate, right? American Pie, you don't score until you score. And when it's time, you collect, you don't reach. Never reach for plates, because plates are a trap. Right? If you stick around and you go for these plates, that means that necessarily you're going to be late to the next wave, and potentially you give the plate right back. So instead, you want to, and that's while you're stronger, you're giving them a plate back. You don't want to give them anything back while you're stronger, right? So in those situations, you'd much rather get back, get the tempo, get the lead, use the gold lead to flex them off. And rather than getting a plate and then trading a plate, you say, all right, let's go down, let's show down even with less, and then I'm bigger than you. I can now take this lead a little bit further. The one exception being if you can complete an item, right? If you can complete an item, then yeah, that's going to be a big deal for your ability to win those fights. And Jack's actually nursing a little bit of a CS difference. Now, I'd like to see Dokla respond to these Qs with Q of his own. There you go. He's going for a flash. Oh my goodness. Sejuani's in for this. Aatrox trying to play on the bubble. Sejuani overcasts it big time and doesn't even land the Q. The option has to be because they think that they've got Talia here and they're just good. All right, a little bit of a loose play there by Contracts. That's what I wanted to see from Jax, though, right? The moment Aatrox casts Q, and especially QE, if QE's on cooldown, you absolutely just start steamrolling as the Jax. Contracts were working into both halves of that It's all a bait. 4 people up top. Contract's taking a little chunk of damage, knowing that it's going to keep the Ahri enticed. That should have been a red light signal. Or Ahri, but not really any way to get out. Now, this whole time, Kai'Sa's been ripping away at mid. Right? Multiple plates for themselves, going to springboard themselves, has 2 kills as already. Now, Zeri did get some alone time as well. Now, sometime was shared with Jax, and again, like, Jax can just take that matchup for themselves anytime they want. You can get in, get the maximum of the damage only when Zeri is next to a wall, and then Zeri has to E out, and that's fine. She E's out, she's further away, you control the minion wave. But a very favorable spot for the Jax. I wouldn't be surprised to try to get them to find that again if Zeri goes back to bot, but it looks like she's going to come to mid. Ahri's going to go and help to push this wave out. No, they're going to leave it for Zeri. I wouldn't mind seeing them share this XP, all right? For those of you who don't know, your base value of a thing is 100%. But when you actually take it solo, you only get 91%. When you take it shared, you get 70% each. So 2 people sharing it actually generate 50% more experience from the same source. And for that reason, you're actually better off always. If you could share all the gold in the game, you would. There are some moments where you'd want the experience value, right? You want to get those level spikes, especially in the early game, which is why you have people in every lane to make sure that you're getting experience from every route, getting gold from every route. But the net experience gain, if you could give everyone on your team access to all the waves and share everything, you would get more experience. So in that situation, right, I'd like to see Ahri go, help to clear the wave. Just do it together. Right? It's also Ahri close to level 11. You want to get that spike earlier rather than later. Contract's using an ultimate to peel off for Jax. I like it. I love it from Okla. Now, Talia's first to bot wave can get this action in for themselves. They can push this wave out, but less significant damage coming. Do they have a teleport advantage? Aatrox has no teleport, but Ahri does. We'll see if Ahri picks up this wave before coming. Talia trying to make this play happen, is not deciding to wall off the top laners though. Might have chosen to do it. C9 saying, you know what, it's Herald number 2, we don't really care. Instead, we're going to get the bottom side turret for ourselves, and we're going to get a recall in while your team is grouped up here. So while you're taking Herald, we'll lose nothing else, and we'll get a turret in response. It's actually a very good answer by Cloud9. Now with Dragon coming up in 220, I expect this to be the last little like force effort that Energy does in one spot. What they're going to do is bring this Herald to midwave and use it to threaten 2 turrets, and while the threat is up, they'll go get Dragon for themselves. In this case in the game, what I'd actually like to see them do at Energy is to let Cloud9 work themselves into the river. Oh no. Bit of a misplay by Palafox there. Now they get wrapped on. I'll come back to that thought in a moment. Good job by M&S landing all the damage from the Q there, using the R to reposition. See how much of a difference this champion has in these fights. Big problems for themselves. They end up getting the turret, but overstay. That ultimate by Talia was a very big whiff. Very big whiff. Ends the fight for themselves. Also takes away their ability to get out. Chain CC there. Beautifully done. Q flash. Contracts wants one back for themselves. The charm saves Sven. Ignar trying to get some of these resources back, but saying, nope, nope, you're going to die. If I'm Ignar there, I'm willing to int to let Sejuani come back to life. I don't like that choice by Ignar. Man, where were we? What were we talking about? Yes, so let C9, obviously this won't work anymore, but let C9 go into the river, take position on Dragon, then you drop Herald while you have mid-prio, and then you say, all right, you guys can have Dragon 3, your second Dragon of the game, I don't care. What was this ultimate? Felt so bad. And they lost track of the Ahri behind them. If you see the Ahri teleporting, obviously they would have gone out through the lane. They still would have end up having to fight in the jungle. They would have had to fight against the Zeri. Probably would have been worse if Zeri picks up those kills. But that was a very bad misplay. You get both solo laners fighting the dust here. Now using flash here. Using flash to try to pick up Alistar might not be it. So now we have a different set of rules to play with, right? You have the gold lead back in the hands of C9, giving away all of the leads that they had. The only one that they still have is on Kai'Sa, who's on 2 completed items. Now again, right here, you can still do that same play, right? Not moving people over. You feign. Ari? That can't have been worth it. Even if you got exactly all the spells that you got, which was all of them, and then the team was ready to consolidate, that can't be right. End up 2 people dying. Kai'Sa jumps in, assassinates Zeri, who's on 1.5 items. So Energy actually getting stuff back for themselves because of a huge overplay by M&S. I don't think he realized, like, this game was still pretty even. And they used the Herald. So now, right now, they should start sending Kai'Sa over to the wave, which is what they're doing. Kai'Sa can leave early. You want her to get the gold here, and she's going to go for it. Boom. Plus 50. Get that extra little source of gold. Now they push this in. They're going to get another charge off of this. They're also going to get quadrants from themselves, and they're going to get the top side Scuttle Crab. It looks like they may not even go for Scuttle. Kai'Sa should absolutely be looking for Scuttle and red right here before recalling. You could do the red after. There's no big deal. But this one in particular, like, you want this red to go down faster, so you have the other one up. And you get the extra gold. I mean, maybe there's a world where there's just nothing for her to buy with the extra gold. But usually, even just that getting that control word can make a difference. Look at all those resources being used on Ignar to barely get the kill. What the F is happening? All right, Energy will be in control. Jax is doing just fine for themselves. We do have 1 item versus 2, though. So Aatrox is going to be very strong in the side lane, picking up red for themselves before moving on. Oh, leaving the red. The red's up there waiting for Zeri. Zeri has the red, and they're waiting for Maokai. Got you. These lingering control wards are still in the bot side. Makes me think that Energy doesn't want to play for dragons at all. They don't want to play for these team fights. Too much standing gold on the table is perhaps what they're saying. Like, hey, we've got this outer turret that's at a quarter health in bot lane. That's going to be at a quarter health. Maybe they want to make pressure for this. They've got a quarter health turret in mid. It's really like half health in bottom. You can see the pings coming out like, hey, like, no, come over here. Like, I want you guys over. Keep pushing this spot. We need to control this area so that we can control dragon. If they can get a kill on Aatrox right here, the biggest threat on the enemy team, then they're in golden shape. But that is a very difficult thing to do. Strongest champion in the game at level 12. Especially with 2 completed items, right? So they end up going for this standoff in bot. What is the net effect? You had basically 8 people show up in bot lane. Kai'Sa gets the first push off. It means she's going to go back. She's going to go for Rageblade. By the way, Rageblade, in my opinion, just the better build than Luden's. Luden's feels real good because it says more AP on it. It says more cooldown on it. But the extra percent pen that you get from Rageblade on top of the fact that it is for longer team fights, just way, way better. I always like Rageblade. Leandries can also be good, but basically never Ludens. Talia picking up waves, Jack's picking up waves. They've just been in the same sort of position. Talia not really looking to get anything done. So I wonder what the comms are like with Palafox. Like, what are they trying to get done here? So we had a little bit of a lull state. They go for maybe a little bit pressure, trying to go for a play down bot. They want to keep the mid lane advantage that they have. This outer turret is allowing them to manipulate waves, specifically mid wave, in a very threatening way. No Rift Herald this time, so no way to force a winning position for themselves. But let's see, C9 bringing 5 people in. Talia going to go pull out the top wave. Push this. It's got cannon in it. So this is a wave that will deal damage. Now she can burst this wave, basically one-shot the entire thing. You want to do it right as your wave is coming in, is what ideally you do. Hold the wave aggro for a little bit and then go in. But you do preserve a little bit of HP. The problem is that now it's just the cannon leading in. The cannon will die before the rest of the minions come in. No one really gets to deal enough damage. But by pushing it in at that time, it does mean that you can move over to the dragon or into the Baron. And it looks like they're opting potentially to sneak Baron. I think they're going to try. I love it. I always love this. Now, Kaisa, don't reveal your position, please. I don't like how she's hedging left as she's killing minions, right? So she's doing that in vision. Now the play is up. The gig is up. Like, hey, we just traded 1 for 1. Love the call from Energy to do it. A couple things that you can tighten the screws on. But you don't need to fight right here. Oh, Aatrox is showing. Never mind. You want to fight. 100% muscle your way in. Use your new buff. Congratulations, enemy team. You got a useless dragon. We have a Baron buff, and we are going to slide this into our wallet. Shop empowered recalls. We're going to get second item spikes, I think, across the board. Maybe Sejuani's still short. I would think not. Sven, 11th most LCS all-time kills. That's kind of funny considering that A, he played significant amount of time in Europe, but then also that he's a support, right? Obviously only 3 years into the support role. 2. 2.5. So now with this gold lead, let's see what they do. Probably going to be a mid-bot split so that they can get control of this quadrant. They don't have enough progress to turn this into any kind of inhibitor threat, but what they're going to look to do is to get at least 2 inner turrets down, right? And pocket the extra 2,000 gold doing that. And specifically by doing it in the bot and mid quadrants, it means that they'll be able to hold the area enough. Oh my god, Contract's surviving there and then getting the level up spike to not die again, and meaning that you don't get any of not resets, but just the ability to secure those kills, get those experience spikes. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love that he's going for that. Well played by Energy. So I was saying, right, you want to go for the mid and bottom so that you're controlling the southern quadrant, because that's going to be the approach on the dragon, which is respawning first, right? That's the idea. It's going to be a full minute ahead of the Baron, so you're going to have enough time to secure that for yourself. But what are you giving up, right? If you're C9, I'm going to say, okay, you've got bottom quadrant, you're going for this. I'm going to take top quadrant, split push top, get that turret down. But what we're seeing in this game is, despite like very reasonable play across the board from C9, they haven't turned that into enough structures. They only got the bot outer. So we're getting a bit of a difference here in the amount of golden experience in the game from here on out. What does that relate to? That means that Cloud9 is going to have to force a fight in whatever advantageous window they can find. And there may not be one. NRG might just shut the door on them. Right now, if I'm them, I'm actually ahead and I don't feel the need to hold Southern Quadrant. I'm going to do exactly this, which is hold Western Quadrant. Hold the West. That allows us to push, try to get this tier 2 and mid tier 2. And this is the more valuable one, right? Because with this much of a lead now, they're looking at Baron as a potential way to end the game. Dragon number 3, inconsequential, right? So they don't want to give up any amount of presence to get to the spot. Now check it out. Sejuani doing the same misplay as before, but not getting lucky like last time. Last time it was lucky that they survived as long as they did. Jax is going to go through the whole base. Palafox going to wall them off. Good play by Doko. He actually could have picked up all of those. Fastest way through is a straight line. All right, they're going to use another teleport, but he's going to answer with teleport. Charm Flash. Okay, so teleport for teleport. That does mean a stagnated death, but he will be up in time to get back for the dragon. Again, Contracts stepping too far up, taking too much damage. And like, as much as I love Abyssal Mask, especially with a game like this where you've got Talia, Kaisa dealing so much of the damage for you, even Jax, right? Like your profile is so magic oriented that I love the Abyssal Mask. You have to take that into account when you're taking damage from the other team. Yes, it's mitigating some of their damage, but their two biggest damage threats at this point, Zeri and Aatrox, you know, and Zeri going this build in particular, doing significantly more physical damage. And Ahri even has some true damage, right? So you're not getting nearly as much of the resistance out of the Abyssal Mask as you could. You need to play according to that, right? Once you have your Sunfire and you've got all this extra armor, yes, then you're going to be a little bit better stepping into these gaps and not worrying. But the amount of chain CC and specifically knockups that can't be resisted is a big deal. Now, I'm going to talk about that for a second. We've got 3 Merc Treads. Maokai has 2 roots. All right, hold on. We'll watch the fight. Good spacing here by NRG. Getting just enough. They got the first kill. Now they're going to be able to go in all the way. Here they go. Full engage. Everyone go forward. They don't even need to peel for Ignar here. They can just take the kills that come up. But Berserker, my goodness. Berserker is just so cracked. They win out on this position for themselves. Same position as last time. You see how good Ahri is in this spot where even when you get the jump off against you, you still threaten back. Makes me wonder if maybe he could have baited teleport. They probably saw it on a structure somewhere. When you do those teleports, you wanted to make sure that you're not doing it on a control ward and not on vision so that they can't actually see you. But yeah, Merc Treads. Aatrox, 4 knockups. Alistar, 2 knockups and a stun. Ahri, Charm. Maokai, 2 roots. Like, all in all, there's really not that much to be resisting. You need to make sure that you're good against this damage. I mean, they're fine. They're absolutely fine this game. But it's not doing as much of the work, right? You have to keep this in mind. How much am I actually resisting in all these situations? Where did she teleport to? Yeah, in vision. Like, don't teleport in vision, because then they'll know that you're teleporting. He's like, what are we doing, guys? NRG have the inside track right now. Not just getting the blown up win, the 4K gold lead, they also get the dragon, they get the Baron during those replays, now they come back. So if you're Cloud9 and you want to get out of this situation, you have to do exactly what they just did. Put vision in one quadrant and say, this is home base. This is base. This is our safe zone. And hopefully the enemy team doesn't know it, right? They're going to try to start moving in and taking more vision for themselves. And you want to catch someone either asleep at the wheel or just taking a further, taking a further position than they actually have earned. This time, Contract's making sure to be a little bit more safe, making sure not to get hit by that charm, dodging out, prioritizing not getting hit by the first thing. You can see that it's still like a significant chunk of damage that comes in, even from a small spell rotation from this build, right? And specifically against RA2 with a huge chunk of true damage. All right, 16 versus 15. Aatrox has to find a way to clear these minions out. How much experience? What's the experience gap right here? Love the build, by the way. Spear Shojin into Zonia is maxing the cooldown reduction. But, yeah, Dokla coming up, level 16 versus 15. Now it's 16-16, but Jax is able to get that inner turret for themselves. It's 1k gold for them. Now they're going to step up. They've got even more in their pocket, 5.5k gold lead. The last inner standing is in top wave. They do have options right here with the respawns of the Baron and Dragon, right? You have Baron first and then Dragon a minute and a half later, minute 20 later. So they're going to do the same thing, right? Push up mid, use it for prio, get it into the west, then push top, hold the advantage, get the mid push again, and then go in for Baron. This is their last chance for any kind of manipulation if they want it. Talia's looking for an angle, potentially for a wall here. I don't like that she's revealing herself, right? Your team has put effort into spacing themselves in the mid and to the west. Even if you have a better angle for your wall, it's actually just worse positioning. Here we go. They see the opening. They say we can shut out M&S. We can maybe get 3 of you cut off. Nope, we end up not getting exactly what we want. That's enough, though. A little bit of chunk onto Blabber. Both minion waves are pushed in. They should be taking Baron right now. No recalls. You do not want to recall here. That was enough of a lead, and Blabber was at 50% health. You had a vision advantage. That was 100% a window to take the Baron. Instead, they're opting for a reset. They might be saying that if we can get Chemtech Soul, then Sejuani will just never die. Sunfire is up. They're holding this position. Yeah, they're playing... Oh, what was I thinking? What did I see on the spawns? I had the timers wrong. That was the duration of the Baron buff versus the Dragon. I'm just completely off. Sorry about that. All right, so that's perfect then. They get exactly... They look for the fight at the window where it would be favorable and without ever giving a risk of it losing out. If you get the kill, great. You've got the kill to solidify this advantage. They come over. That's totally fine. Look, I like that FBI is repositioning themselves. We'll see if we get a flank. Sometimes you see it from Alistar, sometimes from Aatrox. Usually it's from Aatrox in the position where this Ahri's at. And sometimes they go over the wall and actually ward exactly where Sven just did. You see that ward right here by Ignar, right? This is a big deal. You're making sure that Aatrox can't jump over this wall and then potentially use a big blast go. Now, it is a Chemtech map, so another route in that people do not take nearly often enough is taking this blast cone in. We see the full engage. We get the front up kill on C9. Energy Contracts is going to continue the peel off. Now, Aatrox is very strong if this fight continues off and they don't consolidate the kills, but they do consolidate the kills. They get enough. Dokla's actually going all in. He's not actually going to be able to take this. Going to lose out, but uses the Zonias perfectly. Baits out Berserker. Are they going to get something? Are Fudge and Berserker going to take this fight? If they do this, they have a chance. Palafox Zonias, though, is going to seal the deal. Good job by them, not waiting for any kind of dragon or not waiting for anything in other lanes. They're just going to go straight. No, are you teleporting? You're teleporting to keep minions alive. I don't think you needed to do that. If this is an item then it's okay. See, like this teleport right here, this is a bad teleport. This teleport accomplishes nothing. Right? You needed the teleport to be right here. Okay, they have another one. So now we have the 3. Because the 2 were able to survive long enough, they actually saved the game for themselves. I blame the teleports. Honestly. If they just stay and fight that, I don't think they were losing anything. Now, because they did teleport, because they shopped and teleported, it does mean that they have half items, right? That's a Fiendish Codex and a Phage that are in your inventory that otherwise might not have been. Ignar's going to be on peel duty right here. The cooldowns are back up, right? We've got time for another fight. All of the ultimates are up. I want to see Ignar go in as the Baron's dying. Yep, perfect. Perfect timing on the engage. Not enough coming from Aatrox or Maokai. Blabber gets handed a loss on the tree. And now Energy will just walk it in. Wow. 2-1. Look at that damage from Zeri. The ability to clear the waves and deal damage to everybody. Completely eviscerating that wave. They're trying to find a window, but they weren't even willing to go up while they had the minion wave. They're just like, no. But Zeri's too strong. Zeri's too strong. But super minion coming in. This won't be fast enough. They're not going to be able to get anything. So again, NRG a little bit late on the game-ending trigger. Five champions C1 and say, nah, we don't got this. Like, imagine that being the case. 5 champions looking at 1, we don't got this. Such is the nature of Zeri. Bruce Lee style. All right. You want to fight? $9 to 23, 12k gold lead. Baron buff for another 45 seconds. They've got the super coming in mid. This is the situation where you get your fighter in mid, right? Jax comes in mid. He's looking for a flank. He's not quite as strong as some of the other champions. You've got the bodies of Rel and of Sejuani being able to hold down the fort. Ignar willing to move his control ward just to see this one outside. They want to deny all vision right there. Like that play by Ignar. Hex flashing over, kill the vision, then jump right back over with your W. Don't give any counterplay. Now this has to be the window. They're going to force ult down from Talia. I don't like that angle though. That angle means that now there's a defense here for this turret. And if you're C9, you have to bite. You have to fight for this. Things only get worse, but they're not able to pull the trigger. They don't find the window. Team is not willing to move together to happen. Yes, it's a losing fight, but you're in a losing game, right? You're being checkmated. The best thing you can do is lay a trap for your opponents and see whether or not they navigate it. Now, a couple different options from NRG. It looks like they're just going to stay here, but they're going to be fighting against this Zeri Ahri wave clear that is prodigious. Right, and so they may find themselves needing to go grab the other wave, and the other wave is completely on the other side of the map. The other option is to ignore the wave, go in here, take the maximum pressure, deal some amount of damage to turrets, and then go out and take take jungle camps on the way out. C9 using his ultimate, C9 MNS on Ahri, trying to get chunks of damage, and now this is where you keep them in place as best you can. Has to be a quick turnaround, like that Talia was able to go right away. Aatrox shows some aggression, and you say, no, we're getting out. But would have liked to see Blabber or Sven int right there to keep them in place and just make it a coin flip. I don't care. I don't care that it's 4-on-5. You guys are low enough health. This is the best chance we're going to get. Instead, they're going to play out from this position, keeping people alive, but it means that you do have a mid inhib that's respawning. Top inhib is going down. That'll be down for another 3.5 minutes. So we've got 7 more supers coming in. That one already in top wave is going to present a problem. It's going to gum up on 2 waves. All right, 2 waves are going to spawn top, and that's going to give time for this top lane super, the one that's coming up from the top lane right now. That one's going to fortify, right? It's going to fortify and reinforce about right here. And when that happens, those 2 supers are enough to win the game. Talia puts the wall right in the middle of the team, but that's one of those 50-50 walls that doesn't actually do enough for the team. So we see the engage FBI looking to go in against the Zhonya's. What was that chunk of damage? Was it just me, or did they take a chunk of damage while they're in Zhonya's? Maybe it was just the shield, the Kai'Sa shield going away. They end up trading kills, Energy flexing with their wallet, and now they go up into top lane and they win. You see that right there, just where we talked about it, the two supers coming in together. And Jax will go on and end this game. All right, 81% favorites from here on out. That's what history says. There you go. Now they put it on stage. They're like, okay, yep, you're playing for it. Now this is on the line. Let's see how you do when this thing's actually on the line. Alistar Rel. They want this metagame. Freak disclosed in his patch notes that the studio wants a metagame that has Alistars and Rels and engage supports and fighters and action and Kai'Sa and Zeri, Sylas and Akali. That's what they want at Worlds. They want the pinnacle of the fun champions that make ish happen. I'm going to take a little break before we get into Game 4. I'll be right back. All right, Game 4. One thing you guys can do when you're watching along, you're playing like games like this, it's a great time to do calisthenic workouts. You can do isometric things, just pushing against the side of your chairs, lift your legs up, squeeze, flex, do things to put your muscles into motion. It actually goes a long way for getting yourself into better shape, just getting those muscles a little bit of a workout, burn some calories while you play. Even when I'm here, you see me relax, but I'm really pushing up against my head, and I'm using these motions in and out, stretching. Good way to create some longevity. All right, Draven. They are dropping the gloves, they're dropping the gauntlet, challenging the duel in bot lane, saying they're going with Draven and a classic pairing with Renata Glass, who has the extra attack speed, also can keep him alive. Draven probably the best carry in the game at finding kills for himself and getting kills, so that power is definitely not wasted on him. They're also going with the all-in of the Yone ult and the Rumble. Now, what they didn't get to pair with this was Maokai. I'd normally like to see Maokai paired with Rumble and Yone, specifically with Yone, right? Because when you get that twisted advance, you get those 5 tendrils coming up, what's the natural response? It's for the other team to line up. And then when everyone's lined up, that is a perfect situation for Yone to ult and grab everybody. to do. The casters are. But if you can, that's like a little goal you can set for yourself. You're challenging every single CS. Wow, Fudge was with some very precise mouse movements there. That's difficult to do. This makes it look like he's just constantly in motion, constantly has the flame spitter going in for taking for damage. All right, flash for flash. Not bad. Now, Eminus Yone, right? This is something that he came in, and there was basically the most talk about him was, hey, this guy plays really well on Yone. And so I want to see what they're able to do, especially with the Sejuani paired off. You're getting the early game from Draven, the mid game from the Rumble, and the end game from the Yone. So I like this, kind of combination of step laddering the game. Yone also pairs very well with champions like Rumble. When you go in for that Spirit dash in, Rumble goes in. People get pretty predictable on their movements versus a Yone. So when Yone's coming in, that's a great time for Rumble to stack that ultimate in and force people to move in a specific direction. Then he can either wrap them up with his ultimate, or he just gets the maximum amount of free uptime where he's hitting and the enemy team is not. We see one of those trades in the bot wave, one of those faded ones where Draven just goes in, gets 2 axes off for the price of 1 attack from the Zeri, and that's a big chunk of damage. Now, he did go for Dorn's Blade, meaning that he wants absolutely to win this lane. He's not playing for items or anything. He wants to win lane above everything else. Doka taking a big chunk of damage, trying to go in at the end of the Flame Spitter window, saying, hey, I can get a stun off on you at the very end of this. Ooh, the knock-up. It was enough. Fudge misses the flash. Now, maybe Dokla didn't realize that they were going to have that window, but he goes in. Rel takes the aggro, and perfectly, Dokla's right in. That was a bam, perfect take of, I've got aggro now, right? And they just know, and you go in and make that play. That was really well done. And unfortunately for Fudge, not realizing that spell from Rel, you can't flash away from it, right? Once it reaches you, it's going to get you and it's going to knock you up. Now, very importantly, if you're contracts and if you're anyone else, when you're casting the W, make sure that you cast W before you flash and you click. So W and right click on the person that you're going to hit. Oh, nice little adaptation from Palafox. You see that? Putting the clone out and then pressing stop on his own character to make you think that, oh no, that's where the clone went. Short distancing it, right? Kind of leaving it where it was. Very neat. I don't know how often that's good, but it's neat that he's thinking about it and that he's capable of doing that. Under pressure, right? Under pressure at the highest magnitude stage. I wonder if this is the game that Jax goes the Abyssal. It's probably just going to be Mercs, but it shouldn't be realistically, right? There's knock up, stun and drag, knock up and stun. I wouldn't. What if he goes Last Whisper? Not Last Whisper. Wit's End. Well, good job by Eminus getting out. Again, there it is with that little micro on the motion, but again, not good enough when you pair Sejuani with Yone. You're able to lock people up, get predictable movements like we were talking about, and that's what allows you to hit the ultimate. One of the harder ultimates to land in the game has a big wind-up rubber band. Let's see Dokla. He's feeling himself on that lethal tempo again. We see how much lethal tempo does on Jax in these wide open lane states. Now it looks like we are going to see it as mid lane. It's going to be Wit's End from Yone. And that makes a lot of sense, right? Five magic damage dealers on the other enemy team. Jax is about 50-50. Zeri's going to be like 60-40, 70-30 with the Navori blade. But you never can be quite sure with the static shiv if they're not going to go for AP. But either way, you're going to get tons of value out of Wit's End here. And just stat for stat, one of the best items that Yone can ever get for themselves. Taking over this matchup, already has a 8 CS lead, maybe 9 CS lead for themselves with the kill in the lane. Teleport slightly behind, right? You're about 2.5 minutes behind on that. 2 minutes. But you take that. You take that. Now, with Yone getting big and Fudge getting close to a spike, right? So you're going to have spikes. On Rumble, you have spikes at 6, and 11 is probably your biggest one. But one completed item, and level 11 is when Rumble's an absolute terror. When you get that Night Harvester finished. When those come online, this Yone is going to have a completed Wit's End and a completed Berserker's Greaves. And they should be able to transition into the end game. Where is the sustained amount of damage going to come from? It's tough to come from Nico, but you never know with Nico, right? It's all about those windows, right? How do you create windows for yourself? By using the passive, by becoming random, weird, different things. You see right there, one of the tricks, put out the clone and then cast recall. The clone won't die. It'll survive for the entirety of the recall animation, which acts as a little bit of like a Farsight alteration. You can just do that for yourselves. Rumble using the ultimate means that they have no plans on coming to bot lane for this dragon. Instead, they're just going to use the prio in mid, but it looks like maybe a miscommunication here, because you have Rumble ulting top while Sejuani's farming while Yone's moving bottom. So unless they were trying to catch Zeri Alistar on a move where they might potentially go to dragon, I don't see a world where that makes that much sense. Now you can have Sejuani coming from top to bottom. Perhaps they're trying to line up a gank on Nico before going for dragon. Rumble's going to have the push advantage here. We do have the Sork shoes completed, which means that they'll be able to get away from the lethal tempo if it does come to that. And Draven somehow does not even have a CS lead. So Energy doing just fine for themselves. Despite that early blow up and Nico getting beat up a little bit by this Yone, is going to catch up on some of it right now. Yeah, 11 CS down, and Zeri's up in bottom. Kind of bizarre. There it is. They found a window somehow. Berserker's going to try to get damage off with Draven, but it's not enough. And they get their window, they get the engage, and they punish the Draven Renata. And they punish the miscommunication. Whatever caused that iteration, that combination of Sejuani on Gromp while Rumble's ulting and 3 people going bot, that's just completely disjointed. Whatever caused that is something that they need to figure out now. All right, because they just lost their bot lane, 2 people dying, and specifically Draven, right? When Draven doesn't get the first kill of his lane, it's a huge problem because he drops all those axe stacks. And that significantly hampers his ability to snowball. CC. One to the other. Rel holds down one, Nico holds down the other. They get everybody. Now, in exchange, you did see a little bit of extra gold onto Yone. It looks like Yone. All right, so he's actually going for the Kraken Slayer rush. Kraken Slayer is the biggest source of single target burst for anyone on first item, and it looks like he's just been riding that one Megatron cloak or Null Magic Mantle. The one Null Magic Mantle to carry himself through the game, saying, "Hey, everybody who shows up to this lane is gonna have MR, or is gonna be a magic damage source." So by just picking up one small item, just using that to carry as much favor as possible, props to the analysts for finding that, and for the players to adapt with it. There's some team comps where it does make sense to finish Wit's End. I would have suspected that he would have been totally fine to do that this game, but I don't mind this option either. Just enough to get away. That is so big. If Energy gets that kill, I would have actually written them into... I would have penciled them in for winning the entire series if they get that kill. No joke. Because then you've got it everywhere, right? And if Yone's the only person with a lead, that's never enough. Right? One person cannot do enough in these fights. Even if you're one big guy like Yone, there's too much lockup on the other team. There's too many conditions that need to go right for C9 and specifically Yone to find a way to get into a fight in a meaningful way. Look at the 5 wards placed there in the topside river. Alistar just moved one into the dot bush, which I don't like at all, actually. There's nothing to fight for over here. Whereas Rift Herald is spawning. They're not even like... It's Nico on the bot side. She can just clear a wave and bounce out. There's nothing to protect down here. Now, this is a matchup that you definitely want. Good job by M&S answering the dash with the W. I don't like this overplay. Again, you maybe saw a play. Oh, okay. 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 I see it. 4 casters. Now, if you want to pretend to be a caster, by the way, the way to do it is to right-click. They still don't notice it's still not enough, or they say, no, we've got it. We've just got it. You have to continue. NRG has to continue this play here. You have to get one back. Ignar is going to bait just long enough to try to get some amount of damage, right? Good job by them getting one. I don't think Fudge needed to run himself into that corner. This is giving C9 a lot of windows, though. The fact, even though he's dead, the fact that he lives longer, the fact that they got those 2 kills means that they get the mid turret, they get the Herald for themselves, and very much it's just like this colossal overplay. Why are we forcing a play on the side of the map that means nothing, right? Good job by Yone, buffering the ultimate against the knockup. Big chunk of damage coming in from Draven as well to scare them off. Almost scares them off to the point where it just would have been completely clean. But they end up getting the turret for themselves. Draven does not participate in the kill. We've seen this, by the way, with Draven builds. Check it out. Trinity Force is just exceptionally strong. You don't need to wait for all the crit amplifiers. Just take the strongest one item spike in the game. Say, this is my time to shine. From here to 22 minutes, it's me, boys. And really from here to 27. If no one on the enemy team can find a shutdown anywhere and can't get that 3rd item spike soon, then Draven can take over the game for long enough for you to take Barons, for you to take D3 at the very least, and to move forward. And in this game, you're going to have that big wombo combo of the Rumble Yone ultimates, potentially paired with Renata and Sejuani ultimates, which makes this team really scary. And I love, this is what I want to see from Draven comp. If you're going to play Draven, everybody else on the team needs to be really good around a pit, right? Because if the enemy team's going to force you into team fight situations where Draven is weakest, right? Shorter range than every other carry. Yes, he deals more damage, but short range. You don't want to be in any sort of siege. You want everybody else to be good into a hard engage and team fight win. so that Draven can not fall off, right? You can protect his weaknesses, show off his strength, and hide his weakness. That's what you want to do. Just like any position player in any major sport, you want to be able to give them the opportunity to be the best that they can be. And this composition is perfect for Draven. Now, would they have liked to get an early kill? Would they have liked to get a CS lead in bot? Yes, absolutely, 100%. But at least you get some advantages back, and your team gets to transition this into the end game. Now, let's see. Can they hold off anymore? They're going to lose Yone. Are they going to lose anyone else? Zeri's trying to ride in. Okay, they survive with the minimum loss. Now, let's see. How's Energy going to do it? If they are going to come back, they're only down 1k. It's no big deal. And they have Zeri and Jax. They're very happy with fights that rebound and come back in. You've got low cooldowns on Alistar Rel, even on Nico. So you can go try to get one set of spells out, especially ultimates. You feign and engage. You try to get ultimates off. You dodge back. You wait till ultimates are gone. Then you come back in. That is the game plan for Energy in these fights. Very difficult to do that. T1 is probably the best team in the world, or historically was the best team in the world at doing that. Griffin was always very good at doing it as well. And this is where you see where elite AD carries become very, very problematic in those games where they can accomplish it, right? If FBI gets caught up in this wombo at all, GG. They're not going to have anything. But if he can survive, if he can stay off to the side and let Zeri do her thing, let her cook, let her zap, then they're going to be able to win these fights. So what I got interrupted on with the Nico play. When you're using Nico, if you want to pretend to be a minion, use your attack move on click and then just release. Because by doing that, you'll walk up and you'll behave just like a minion. You'll get into range. You won't have any erratic motions. You don't want to have a single missed click. All right, here we go. Rumble alt. Ooh, a little bit off on the Rumble alt. Splits the team fight in two, but could have been actually in that corridor, and it would have probably just completely won the fight there if they'd gotten it. They get an early kill. No, they have to get the Zonias from Palafox. That's well worth it, though. Rumble ultimate could have been significantly better there, right? You would have wanted this angle right here into the middle of the fight and protecting this entire corridor. Instead, it goes pretty far wide to split the team fight in two, and they can just say, all right, that's fine. We'll just dash over, continue the fight. There's more than enough space to fight here. This is the second time that we've had a fight where the first person dead has been Yone. This is, kind of a good way to answer this situation. These big ultimates, Yone strings himself out there a little bit, right? Everybody else is playing from far behind. Sejuani casts an ultimate from range. Rumble, ultimate from range. Draven, ultimate from range. Renata, ultimate from range. Yone casts it, and he's in the middle of the fight. So what are they saying? Okay, all right, when this comes in, we're just going to dodge out the big ultimate sources from the rest of the team, and we're just going to fight and consolidate on Yone. So Yone's going to have to find a way to mix up his approach strategy or make sure that there's already significant chunk damage coming out before they do go in. Sejuani, as always, just super strong against mages. Feels like it's chip damage, right? Basically lost nothing. Going to get the shield up for themselves as well. Haven't seen many Warmogs. We used to see a lot of that from Sejuani, second item Warmogs. Look to front for a big chunk of damage and then just step back, heal it up, come back in. Wonder if they could get more from this game. Now, this game, I think 100% of the time they need to get Radiant Virtue because of the nature of the fight, right? We're ulting and then we need to win. And so Radiant Virtue is doubling down in that. But how are you going to find your windows without something like Warmogs and a better stat defensive item? Right? So how are you actually fronting enough? Now, Warden's Mail, going to be a significant bit to get through. But all of these items, you got all these resistances up. There's not that much HP, relatively speaking, to what you could have. I want to see after these items are done and kind of see where they're going to. I mean, what is this Warden's Mail going to do? It's the best source of just one item for armor, but like, you've got part of Sunfire. You'd like to finish building the Sunfire, and you want to have room for Warmogs or Anathemas or things like this. Like, imagine going into this fight and putting Anathemas on Zeri. That'd be fantastic, right? It's the one source of continued physical damage threat. I would like to see that, and potentially that's where they're going. I don't expect them to go Randuin's Omen here. Maybe they will. Maybe the Randuin's Omen. I don't see it, but there's a chance. All right, Energy deciding that this is enough. I don't like this plan. It's got to be a bait. They've got to be trying to bait spells here. You're playing into the strengths of everybody on the enemy team here by grouping up. Fudge. Only see two. Oh, we missed from Yone. I see. This is what I don't like. I don't like Yone going first. All right, they do get one kill. Jack's coming in on the team while the others go forward. It does mean that Draven gets a kill for themselves. All in all, that is fine for Cloud9. But again, this is the third time that we've seen Yone ultimate in and getting caught out, being held up by the bounce house with no compensation. All right, Blabber using Aftershock to the most effect. We see flash forward from Palafox, but connecting with nobody. Zeri jumping in, love it. Love finding the window. Contracts trying their hardest to get in, and they survive unscathed. Now that is a flash, cleanse, and ult down from Zeri. So now Cloud9 can be happy about going forward here. League of Draven. Did they show the cash out amount? I didn't. 1,000 gold. Wow. 1,000 extra gold for getting that kill. Now here's the build that we're talking about. Trinity Force into Collector. Just gives you the biggest spike that you can get at this early stage in the game. Serrated Dirk early, so you just use that in lane phase, finish Trinity Force. We're going to see Lord Doms, and then we're going to see the boots being finished. Sometimes you don't need the boots because the attack speed, you don't really need much more attack speed because it's all about the axes and the unempowered autos. Very hard to get yourself up to 3 of them. Renata very late on this ultimate. Rumble late as well. And Rel gets the steal. My goodness. Well played contracts. Well played FBI. Somehow surviving there despite not having any tools. If you're C9, it's gotta feel like a gut punch. So what I was saying about Draven, the attack speed, right? It's very hard to charge up multiple axe catches in the middle of these fights, especially as it gets tenuous. And it's very rare that you have triple stacked axes. And that's what you need to catch up with the amount of attack speed that comes from having like Berserker Grease, for example. Here, right there, boom, those flashes are in. The Rumble ult needs to come right there. Those guys are committing in. It needs to drop. Oh, Yone, again. What are they getting back for this? There's nothing. M&S not having himself a good series. Don't know what else to say about it. Draven's going to try to coin flip. No, he's not even going for the dragon. He's just going to stop the back of the Nico. That feels a little bit desperate. But, you know, honestly, if enemy team has a play slated and you can dissuade one of the people from backing and it throws off their timing by 7 seconds, maybe that can be worth. But then again, now you don't have it for the fight. So overall, don't like it at all. But I see why you want to do it. Normally you do that at level 6, you know, with Jinx ult, Draven ult, these global ults. You're totally fine using them to create tempo. That's fine. But at this stage in the game, having that ultimate up is a pretty big deal. Now, it is a fairly short cooldown. It's going to be up, right? What is it, like 40 seconds? It's already almost up. Yeah, one minute timer. Not so bad. But how much did you have to give up because you don't have it? Now they're playing like they feel like they're far behind. They aren't actually that far behind, as you can see by the gold lead. And the fact there is some standing gold in their pockets, right? Energy has basically spent everything because everyone went to base, come out. Now they're pushing out. This would be a little bit of a waste. If there's nothing else they can get from this except for advanced wave states, they've actually created nothing for themselves. And it looks like that's the decision. Yeah, they're just balking and moving out. Even Shroud. I don't know that I've ever seen Even Shroud on Yone. Even Shroud, Kraken Slayer, Immortal Shield Bow. This would be hot tech. I don't know if this is something I've missed that people have been doing. Even Shroud is my favorite item in the entire game, and everyone who can use it should use it. I suppose I should accept that for Yone as well. But maybe that's what they're deciding. Maybe they think that Yone is the only source of engage that they have, and then that's what they do for aligning Renata, Rumble, Sejuani. But so far, everything's been so syncopated, right? One's in, the others aren't, or something's getting blocked, whatever it is. They just haven't felt like they're moving in together. You end up getting a little bit of tankiness from Even Shroud. You get lifesteal from Immortal Shield Bow and tankiness. Very, very like a low damage build. The lowest. Kraken Slayer, you know, not with. But if you're gonna go Kraken Slayer here, I feel like Wit's End. If you were gonna build a path like this to stay alive, I feel like Wit's End would have done so much more. It would have accomplished both goals in this game. Anyways, I'm gonna stop harping on one player. How are they going to get back? Well, they still have these big AoE damage alts. Draven, Yone, Sejuani, Rumble, all of them. Huge, massive AoE. Zeri needs to survive, make sure that she's not being hit up by it. You see the Locket from Alistar and the Radiant Virtue from Rel. Both are nods to the fact, like, yes, we need to survive the beginning of this fight. But specifically that Locket and the passive that it gives, and the Knight's Vow that you have here from Rel as well, saying, all right, we've got a couple guys that need to survive this burst. We've got 3 tanks. All right, two tanks. 2.5. We'll give Jax half credit. We just need to survive this situation. Oh my goodness, if they just burst Berserker, that's done. All right, they get him. This has got to be a continued fight. C9 needs to take everything. They just used 3 ultimates, several flashes, and more cooldowns. You need to try to get the most you can out of that. They don't. There's just not enough hold up to hold enough people in place for the Rumble to do their thing. The Locket is completely mitigating the Rumble in this game. They haven't gotten enough damage in, and they just found the most important member on the team as far as finding a pick. Now there's just not enough damage, especially with no ultimates and no Draven. There is no fight for blue. Love this play by M&S, actually. Saying, you know what, I can teleport here. I know you guys are going Baron. Congratulations, that is your prize. But now I can go and actually take a significant chunk of this turret while you're recalling, get some gold for my team, and get that 1,000 gold back in our pockets in time for this dragon. Now they're far enough behind now that even with a vision superiority in the East, it might not be enough. They're still going to hold out, though. Anytime you have a wombo combo team, you should basically always find it. Just try to find a way. Try to find this fight. The ideal fights are like connecting the dots, bush to bush right here, or bush to entrance, something like that, that covers a significant portion of gateway entrances while also dealing big damage to them. That's what you're looking for. So far, we haven't seen that from the Rumble. Now, Renata is, well, kind of like, where's Renata going to exist in this world? Feels like she just has to be counter-engaged, but the fights are just too quick, right? It happens with Nico being hidden, the fact that Rel can engage, that Alistar can engage from over walls, right? And significant amounts of lockdown and damage. We ended up not seeing an Abyssal Mask, perhaps being a nod to the fact that Yone and Draven are in-game, and that you're giving up too much damage if you go for Abyssal Mask. Hey, look, we've got 2 Zeris on our team. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right, you missed it. There was a small window right there. Could have had a big ultimate with a Rumble follow-up. They decided, like, nope, let's just go for another. Sejuani ultimate being used means that now there's nothing. And again, these Rumble ultimates this series have been wayward. Okay, C9 getting what they want. A fight under the other turret is enough to potentially trade back here. MNS is alive. People are surviving, but 5 people are still there. Zeri's going to take over this fight. Oh my god, going forward, taking everything, dealing all this damage, but getting locked up. Doesn't get the kill. Does get the 2-1s after that. Blabber does survive, so there is breath. There is life in C9. They do just enough to survive this, but now the gold lead is going to be a problem. All right, you've got inhibitor down in mid. You've got an exposed inhibitor in bottom. 4K down, 3K down. Gold in inventory with better respawns. It's like right before that there was a small window, but check this out. This Rumble ultimate goes off to the left. Right here. Boom. It needed to be casted right there. And instead, it's way up here. Now, something that's worth noting about this game, when you play Renata, level 11 is enormous. Because the first level of that ultimate is like 1 hit. They only hit each other once. That's it. Sven not realizing that he had the shield on him right there. If Sven realizes that he's got the second life from Renata and he turns around and gets that kill, gets the Triumph proc, all it took was 1 more hit, literally just 1 more hit right then, and he would have respawned. But because he flashed away as the shield was popping, it means that he's out of range and he's late to try to get that trade back. That would bring him back to life. We do end up seeing Anathemas and Randuins. I don't like the Randuins at all this game. You've got only 1 source of crit in the game, and that's really what that item's for. I don't think you needed more ways to slow people down. Like, these fights are not ending in like a drawn out, people are kiting you way. It maybe ought to be that way, but Anathemas should have been the second purchase. All right, endgame technique. This is going to be Jack solo in bot and 4 in top. It's taking them a moment to get there. I don't like how much effort they're putting into this. It does pay off a little bit. You see this line of wards that they have right here. This helps keep the Jacks alive, right? Control ward here and these ones. But because it's a hex map, the fact is people can rotate much, much faster. You can play defense side to side much faster. These wards aren't going to do that much. Instead, you want to get them like in the base if you can. If possible, you want to get them in the middle of the lane. And you want to get them in these transition points like as they're exiting. And their team, there's really nothing to be gained from having 4 mid right now. Those 4 should be top 100%. This dragon is inconsequential. They could fight for the soul, but they have checkmate. Fighting for soul is giving your opponents a way back into the game. This should have been 4 top and one bottom. So a little bit of a miss there. What they're going to try to do is wait out this 30-second timer. They're going to go for one more wave and try to squeeze, you know, kind of throttle C9 into their base to the point where they can't get anything off. But this is what you potentially give up. Imagine if you're just a step closer there in your Yone, right? Sejuani ult, Rumble ult, Renata ult coming in after, Yone ult. Like, that Wombo could have killed all three of those members right there, even though they're the tanks. Yeah, they're going to go for a flip. So you guys can have D4. We'll take Baron. We're going to coin flip for it. We have to force the fight. Now, the fact that Energy has shown that they're not willing to take this like optimal strategy means that maybe you don't need to do this, but you also don't want to give them time to figure it out. Jax is going for a teleport behind, but look at the chunk of the damage. Here we go. 30% HP bars. We're going to... What was that? Smite. 7. Was that like an 1800 health smite? All right. Zeri getting a kill on Renata. They don't get anything back from there. They end up dying twice. 2 people are dead. 2 people are dead. For the cost of none, we're going to stop some backs here. Like that, that's a flash stun into a headbutt. Got chain CC. We've got the Guardian Angel and the flash. Good job. Wasting 0 movement. Pushing this wave for the win. Tank, 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 tank. It's a slightly bigger wave. It is the end. Both all roads lead to Rome in that case. But this is definitely the win. NRG erupts. Wow. I'm going to call this the biggest turnaround in one split in world competitive League of Legends history. NRG started the season asleep. They were not good. And to be able to pull it together and to get this result against the heavily favored team, props to them. Props to them. They did it well. Got to be good leadership somewhere on this team to pull that together. I can't believe it. NRG looked slumbered on that. Now that they win, all these guys are going to get their notoriety. Palafox still, you know, he deserves it. This guy's been playing out of his mind all year. Go, bring out the tiers contracts. Let them come. Let them flow. You earned it. Good job, guys. And support players, letting the whole team get the trophy as it should always be. Hey guys, you earned it. Go take it. Contracts need some time. Don't hold it back, man. Let him flow. You earned this. It's been a long road for that guy. That's good that Blabber's still willing to do interviews at the, or autographs at the end. This is so cool. Sorry.
Here to fight all the way through to take down C9 after losing to him 0-3 in that winner's bracket final. just incredible.
I like that they're doing the World Championship. Music, right?
You can see the emotion on stage, and the crowd lets him hear it.
The arena erupting into chants for contracts as he comes
Good stuff.
back.
All right, thanks for hanging out, guys. Appreciate you. That was good to watch. Feels good. Get you next time. All right, there we go. Recording's done. Oh, what to do? All right, I'm just gonna enjoy watching this. I'll catch you guys next time. Be on tomorrow. All right, peace.